siku. It's Friday and as usually Sheria Wiki Hii, Sheria Wiki Daktari EKURU AUKOT, na pia leo tuko na mwingine anaitwa Philip Magal, wakili na pia ni lecturer pale ya Kenyatta University School of Law. Kama wewe ni student wake, tafadhali fika hapo tuambie mambo vipi pale KU. Anyway, it's another morning and it's chilly in Nairobi. The traffic is crazy as well as usually the way usually Friday looks like. But anyway, I hope you guys are ready and fired up for the weekend. It's been a crazy week. We've been a lot of politics and also prayers. Jana watu ambao wanastahili kuombewa ndio walikuwa natuombea. Nchi yetu ya Kenya tunaipenda. Anyway, as usual, I request on the journey, please like. When you like, I get to know that you're watching us, and that you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a tackle, and tackle begins now. Lakini kama kawaida, kabla tuanze kazi, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe. Alafu tukirudi, salamu zenu tunakuja kuwapa. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you, God, for another opportunity to be alive this morning. We thank you for what you've given us the grace to do. We thank you to given our hands to do. We pray that you may be able to bless it. Even as tacklers who are with us this morning, as they go out to venture and to try and earn a living, may you be able to bless the works of their hands. As we start up with us, as we have a panel this morning, I pray that as they speak, may they edify the fabric of this nation. As we start with us, when we finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray and believe. Amen and amen. Asante. Haya, naona kuna watu wameamka hapa tayari, wananchi tayari wameamka. Wana Stephen Kiproti Sergon anasema good morning GB, good morning to my brother Colin Skipchirchir, good morning Gerald tuned in from County 001. Where's Barak Muluka, wacha atakuja next week. Kusema de Sam, good morning to you sir. David Kamau, good morning Team Tackle. I wish everyone a blessed day. Karoki wa Masi watching you. Rais wa Walanyasi from Kayola, asante sana. The one and only president. Johnson Kipkering sang, good morning Mr. Bitok watching from Muthiru. Asante Festus Cheron, good morning GB watching live from Sioport Busia County. Asante sana. Lady Tosha Rosliala kutoka Tarbo, Letosha Rosi from Tarbo, good morning watching live from Tarbo. Asante sana, salimi watu wa Tarbo. Rosi Tosha. Don Maverick, good morning watching from the CBD. To the panelists, on what ground is Uhuru Kenyatta appealing the BBI ruling? He said it is personal. Me, I'm not a lawyer, lakini mawakili wako hapa atatuambia. Haya. Steven Flemson Tomaga sema logged in from Thika, my favorite morning show. Inchi imetulia since reggae stop takona kelele. Haya, nasikia sikizi mnacheza R&B na rumba. Haya. Munga leta continue. Morning team tackle tuning in from Convent United Kingdom, looking forward to Sheria Wiki Hii edition. Salimia former Conventian EKURU AUKOT. Can't wait the day when Kenyans will stop discussing this abracadabra document named BBI. Luta Mwanga continue all the from the UK. It's good to see you, my brother. Edwin Chumba, good morning. Mr. Bitok watching from Nakuru. Moses Kamo, good morning. Sisi tuko locked huku Moiben. Uliana Moiben kufanya nini bana Mose? Haya. Losha Muroti Junior, good morning GB watching live from Nairobi. Good to see you bro. Tuko pamoja. Asante sana my brothers. Good to see you. Mheshimiwa Watapsago Iward Jared Kimeto mwenyewe, good morning GB. Today is menstrual hygiene day. Watching live. Blessed day. Asante sana. Kama unaweza tafadhali ensure that at least you can help a girl child get sanitary pads. Retain their dignity, maintain their dignity, and try to dignify the girl child. Kama kuna nafasi ya kuweza kufanya kitu leo ni morning, leo ni menstrual hygiene day. Please, if you can, please ensure that a lady or a girl that is around you can be able to get some sanitary pads. Okay, let's ensure that we regain and we retain the dignity of our girls. Langat Kibrono Dixon, good morning. Hapa ni Mombasa. Asante sana watu Mombasa. Stan Melly, asema good class. Good morning to you Stan Melly. Steven Karoda, Co-Bank CSZ Plaza hapa ila. Asante sana, salimia watu wa Cooperative Bank pale CSZ Plaza. It's good to see you guys. I appreciate it. I'm happy to see you all the guys from Cooperative hapa ila. Keep quiet Kandia. Live from Voi Taita Taveta County. Asante. Pauline Cherab, tuned in morning tackle team. Asante sana Pauline. It's good to see you again. Wezi Chichir, good morning. Alice Maera, amen, tuned in from Kitengela 034 Club. Hey, salimia sana rafiki yangu Cheria. Jamaa, unajua sisi wenyewe tulianzisha 034 kabla mjapata ndege. Haya, siku hizi nasikia mlipata ndege mshiki. Haya, salimia sana Cheriat. Route Kip Kosgen sama Milimani Road. Good morning. Good morning Nairobi Milimani Road. No majam. Haya, naona Kimali Baba. Good morning GB watching live from Karen. Asante to Karen. Leo Opondo, good morning tuned in. Yonis Chelagat Bito, good morning watching from Buruburu. Asante watu Buru. Charles Githinji Maina, jambo Kenya, jambo. Senior Mungu, good morning Bito tuned in from Embo. Elisha Kasheu Ozil. Salimia my lawyer Ambole Philip Magal. Haya, salimia sana Ambole. Geoffrey Mashaka Saranu, we've been here. Mulikuwa mmeenda wapi bwana? Ama mambo ya Juja bado mlikuwa mnapiga sherehe. Barsho Alas Ismalu all the way from Mandera anasema iko tuned in. Asante sana. Kunaendaje pale Wajia? Nasikia gavana amesema haendi mahali asongi. Tayari mko na gavana mpya. Kenya nchi yetu tunaipenda sana. Robin Ruta morning Bitok watching from Nyali Mombasa. God bless the tackle. God bless you my brother. Naona Godfrey Barasa Were anasema good morning GB tuned in from Good to see you. Good morning, Daktari. Tuned in from Trans Nzoia. Keep up the good work informing us. Asante sana Barasa Were. Boniface Munana BM. Good morning GB, waiting for my guy EKURU to ooze wisdom as usual. Ni nabii. Najua tulimpea hapa ni kanzu tu namtafutia. We ordered kanzu kutoka Israel. Shona waweke ile star Israel. Ili nabii kuja tuambie ni nini inaenda kufanyika pale Supreme Court. Haya. Boniface Munana kuona. Balozi Eric Meja anasema wa Seregeya already tuned in. Love the show. I love the great minded minds in studio. Everything single show. Asante sana Balozi Eric Meja. Nashukuru sana kukuona. Kimngati to Bay anasema Hanex Eldoret locked show on. Asante Aaron Deri to good morning GB. Good morning to my brother. Kandie Kipkorir Zabato. Good morning. Bitok watching from Upper Kabete. And Kolum anasema good morning tuned in from Birmingham, Alabama, USA. Good to see you the guys from diaspora. We love you so much. Amon Birgen. Good morning Gerald tuned in from Dallas. Always locked in with Brian Kipkoech. Salimia sana ndugu yangu Brian Kipkoech. Ndiye kama jamaa hajaamka bana. Ama sasa ni saa ngapi kule? Haya, just to take anasema na Nairobi CBD. Asante sana to CBD. Please, when you join in, please like. When you like, I get to know that you're watching us, and that way, like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a tackle Sheria Wiki edition on 28th of May 2021. Na tuko na daktari EKURU AUKOT kama kawaida presida, na pia tuko na wakili hapa Philip Magal atuambie ni lipi litafanyika wapi. Haya, jambo wakili. Presida mwenyewe.
Sijambo Bitoka.
Good to see you.
Pole sana naona.
Hii wiki umenitupa bro.
Hapana, ni traffic ya Nairobi na pia kutafuta hela bwana.
Lakini hii wiki bwana,
market kidogo inaanza kufungua.
Hii wiki kuna venye umeniweka pending baya mbovu.
Sijali. Tutakacha hapo weekend.
Niko salama.
Niko salama kabisa.
How's your week been like?
Nashukuru Mungu. Safari kidogo, but I'm back.
Ulikuwa umeenda safari ya?
Kidogo.
Haya, sawa wiki ikoja. Anything you pick from the week?
Hivi tu kawaida wa Kenya bado wanalia tu uchumi mbaya. Of course bado tunaambiwa next year 2022 naona sijima One Alliance nini alliance hapa na pale wakati ambao uchumi bado unazorota. Hali bado ijarudi kabisa, but I can see Kenyans are up and about. Actually, one thing that impressed me today, I made a lot of observation over the week. I realized Kenyans really work so hard.
Kenyans hard work.
It's just that I think the facilitative environment, the situation in the country is not facilitative enough for Kenyans to actually reap benefits of their sweat. But generally, I can see Kenyans are working very hard, and we are also following slowly. Naona watu wana weigh whether tuende straight to Supreme Court ama tuende Court of Appeal.
Uko na unabii gani?
Lakini kiboko walinyorosha na bado watanyorosha.
Unabii ni gani hii wiki? What are your prophecies?
Unajua sitaongea sana mambo ya mahakama sababu we are one of the petitioners, the THIRDWAY Alliance Kenya. Okay. So we may not want to speak much because this is a matter before actively in court and we are actively involved. Lakini mimi naweza kusema tu kwamba I'm happy at least finally the court, the judiciary is biting a little bit, because one of the tendencies I think we can say from looking at Jubilee governments in the last almost 10 years now is that has a lot of disrespect for the rule of law. And this not just from the president himself, but also from some of the ministers, Matiang'i included, and many others. So it's become almost the norm to ignore court order. So I think it's important that when the judiciary really asserts itself, because it's one of those independent arms of government. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, it's interesting to see what's going to happen this week. There's a lot of legal happenings that have been happening. Yesterday, the people who need prayers were praying for us.
The what? Sorry?
The people who need prayers were praying for us.
Oh yeah.
And I think you imagine that Jerusalem has landed in parliament.
Yeah, and the sad thing about our country, again, is that we are a prayerful nation. Even before we start this show, you pray.
We pray, yes.
Yeah? Before you eat, we pray. In a political rally, we pray. Then we start abusing each other after praying to God. We are almost 90-something% Christian or religious. Let's say religious. But unfortunately, in fact, it's interesting you bring this issue up, Bitok. Because yesterday I was having a conversation with some friends and we were saying, how come our religiousness doesn't manifest in the way we do things, either in the political arena or even in the way we relate to each other? Tukiwa kwa nyumba ya Mungu tunasema sisi wote ni watoto wa Mungu. Unajua wewe ulikuwa askofu.
Kabisa. Mimi bado ni askofu, ndio nimerudi sasa. Nirudi mzima. Very soon nitakuwa naangusha wananchi.
When you are preaching Bitok, you will hear people say we are in the holy house of God. But then as soon as they step outside the church precinct, they become Turkana, Luya, Kalenjin, Luo,
Okuyu.
and then Okuyo. Then our politics kicks in. So it seems to me that I've almost reached a decision in my life where I've concluded, I think we are just inherently a dishonest society. Yeah, we are not honest. Even those people who were praying for us yesterday, can you imagine? Watch them over this weekend in political rallies or in funerals. You know, they'll be insulting each other, inciting their bases against the other. So where is the religiousness? Where is the spirituality that they express during prayer time?
Okay.
We're a pretentious nation.
Philip Magal,
Yes.
it's your first time on the tackle. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Na
It's
ukitakuliwa
an honor to
inabidi
be here
unavumilia.
and to share the podium with he's my former lecturer at Kenya School of Law.
Oh,
Yeah, way back in 2006.
okay. So you must have passed my constitutional law paper.
We hope he passed.
I don't want to say much, but the fact that I'm here is a testament, isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and I'm grateful, of course, to share a podium with you. It's been a great week. A lot has happened. We've seen the new CJ assume office. I have my reservations about, she's suitable for the office, but I think she might have gotten there for the wrong reasons. Let's wait and see. But the fact that the court asserted its independence the other day by making the BBI ruling is something to celebrate. We're anticipating the appeal. Let's see how it pans out. Again, yesterday there was another monumental ruling that, the executive is again run foul of the law by making appointments to state corporations and parastatals.
And I shared that with you, Bitok. I think you should read it for vijana. Ulize vijana mko wapi.
Tutapangwa.
At this rate, I see either the president not making it to the finish line or making it to the finish line limping. He has to be worried. His legacy is very much on the line.
And it's worrying the speed at which you guys are neglecting the president.
They say failure is an orphan, isn't it? And success has many claims. Yes. So he has to be really careful. But it's a good thing. It's a vindication of our constitution. It speaks to the fact that it is alive and living, and that Kenyans appreciate it. And of course, not to forget that Manu lost to the. That was one of my highlights of the week. It would be remiss of me to go without mentioning it. We're still celebrating that.
Okay, let's get back to the story about the appointments that we are seeing. I mean, what is the obsession with government rewarding political dinosaurs?
Bitok, and we have said it in this show many times, and I also said it during my campaign when I was trying to sell my manifesto for 2017. And one of the key points I was trying to sell is that young people, the youth of this country, together with women with their numbers, should actually form the next government. I didn't say be included. They must form the next government. As you can see, I was reading that, posting as I was coming here. It's just former this, former that, former governor, former women rep, former chairman, former MP, former aspirant, sujinini. I mean, and I ask myself honestly, vijana mko wapi? Me, I think part of the problem in this country, and now we really must discuss it, is that, I think it was Frantz Fanon who said that every generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. And I think the youth in this country do not even seem to have a mission, leave alone attempt to fulfill it or even to betray it, because they have nothing to fulfill, they have nothing to betray. So really, I think they are part of the problem. When you read this kind of posting, President Uhuru just rewarding waze. Even if you go back, let's pause a little bit, go back to our traditional African society. You see, even in traditional African society, it reaches a time when the elderly, waze, will pave way for the youth. They go sit under a tree and become the fountain of wisdom. So that the young will go back to Wazee and tell them, okay, we are faced with this kind of situation. What's your advice? Give us some blessing. Then we now go and take care of the community, take care of the society. But in the history of Kenya, as you can clearly see, even for someone like Uhuru, we thought maybe could be having some youthfulness in him, still doesn't even respect this younger generation. And by the way, this should remind Kenyans one thing. When they were campaigning, from 2013 or 2017.
2013.
They kept on promising that they will generate how many? 3 million jobs annually. 3 million jobs. And those jobs were supposed to be targeting what? The youth. We have many people who are living in universities today, and Philip here can confirm from where he is. Many people who are living universities today. And then, of course, there is no opportunity for them. They keep on being lied to. For example, if you, coming back to say the BBI nonsense. In the BBI nonsense, they even lie that let's now amend the constitution so that then we can give, help, people with help loans, 7-year what? Is it moratorium? Exactly. So really, tax relief, you don't need a constitutional amendment to give such a tax relief. This is purely administrative.
We gave Japan the other day
purely
without
policy
BBI.
or even legislative in its very nature. So again, I can see that it is up to us the youth. And like we said, Bitox, tumesema mara mingi kwa hisho, tuko peke yetu.
On our own.
Tusipojipanga tutapangwa. Na sasa hivi unaona vile vijana wanapangwa.
Na tunapangwa zaidi.
Tunapangwa zaidi.
All right, let me just read out
You should read
the appointments.
Yeah.
Mutai Ringa, these are the appointments that are made by the president. Mutai Ringa, a former powerful interior principal secretary,
and a failed politician
who unsuccessfully ran for the Imenti North parliamentary seat in 2017, was appointed the chairperson of the National Cereals and Produce Board, NCPB. Former Machakos County Assembly Speaker Bernard Muteti Mungata was appointed the chairperson of the Industrial and Commercial Development Corporation, ICDC. At the same time, the President Kenyatta reappointed James Ndegwa, Ngene Kituku, John Ngumi. John Ngumi nilo Kenya Pipeline.
James Ndegwa is the owner of, was partly the owner of NIC and this Jubilee Insurance. Many. These are people who do not need these jobs.
Wow.
John Ngumi was the former, I think,
the MD, Kenya Pipeline.
KPC. That embarked on corporation.
I think he had some scandals there anyway.
Yes.
Haya. And Henry Obocha.
In Tanzania.
You went to Tanzania?
Yes, he's a persona non grata in Tanzania.
Hello?
Yes.
Haya.
Soma your list.
And Henry Obocha to chair the boards of the Capital Markets Authority, Communications Authority of Kenya, Kenya Pipeline Corporation, and Privatization Commission, respectively, for another 3 years. Former Baringo Governor Benjamin Cheboy was appointed the non-executive chairperson of the Agricultural Development Corporation, ADC board. Former Migori MP Charles Owino was appointed the chairperson of the board of directors of South Nyanza Sugar Company. Another ex-MP Jonathan Leleid Lati of Samburu West was appointed the chairperson of the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute,
and that guy is a warlord, by the way, if I may comment on Jonathan Leleid Lati. Is a kind of a warlord. He's been inciting violence between the Turkana and the Samburu in Samburu County.
Okay. Kirdi,
I know him.
the daughter of retired President President Mwai Kibaki, Judith Wanjigu, was appointed as a board member of the Kenya Investment Authority. Other notable parastatal appointments include former Kwale Woman Representative Zainab Sitsuga, who was chosen as a member of the board of National Oil Corporation of Kenya. Agostino Neto, who once served as Ndiwa MP, was appointed as a board member of the National Environmental Authority, NEMA. Mombasa Governor aspirant in 2017 Suleiman Shabal was picked as the chairperson of the board of Kenya Trade Network Agency. Former Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT chairman Mutsonzili, was appointed as a non-executive chairperson of the National Irrigation Board, NIB. Retired Generals Joseph Kibwana and Julius Karangi were appointed as chairperson of the Kenya Ports Authority and non-executive chairperson and trustee of the National Social Security Fund, respectively. Lilian Mairi Zaja, who was former Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IBC) vice chairperson, was appointed as a commissioner of the Energy Regulatory Commission (ERC). Philip Maga.
Yes. It's interesting because it comes again as the backdrop of previous notifications to state corporations and parastatals by the president. Yesterday, the court held that the president doesn't have the power to make these appointments. That is the exclusive reserve of the Public Service Commission, and that the Public Service Commission has to undertake a transparent and competitive process in the recruitment. So I wonder what becomes of this. And it means, again, the president has run foul of the law. Is run foul of the constitution. These people should not assume office. They should not be allowed to take over those new positions. And the president should, I think, now, going forward, take note of this and step back and do things legally and lawfully. Especially, again, coming again as the backdrop of the ruling that he can be held personally liable and he can be sued in his personal capacity. For violations of the Constitution. So many questions are arising, and I wonder who is advising the president. Probably a high time that he cleared everybody from his office and appointed new advisors. Yeah.
But you think, why do we always keep imagining that
let's go
somebody is
back to
advising the
2013,
president? Who is the president? These
We'll
are
come-
robots.
We'll come to that issue. But let's go back to 2013.
Okay.
In 2013, his first term, President Uhuru Kenyatta put together a task force that was led by Abdikadir Hussein, who was a lawyer, was formerly his constitutional law advisor at State House. And one of the concerns he raised was the efficacy or efficiency in these state corporations or parastatals. And the idea was even to merge some of them or even just dissolve, disband some of them.
Okay.
Also because we've thought there was a cost implication. Because these people, honestly, it's a replication of what ministries do and what they're also doing.
Okay.
So Kenyans must be reminded of that lie by President Uhuru and Jubilee government. Then it was called TNA. As he disbanded that idea of merging some of this corporation or dissolving them, even before, and typical of Jubilee, typical of this government and all the people now in government, even wanting to form the next government, they never really pay any attention to any reports of inquiry or commissions of inquiry. They write these very rosy reports and then just shelve them and for them to gather dust. Even despite the fact that we actually spend millions and millions of taxpayers' money to generate these reports, And so, I mean, again, Kenyans must be reminded of that lie. To the question of who advises the president, well, I will say this, any leader, however weak you are or powerful you are, you actually must invest in very good advisors. Okay. And an advisor to a president, and I've been one before. I've served in advising Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and to a limited extent Salva Kiir in South Sudan. Sometimes, as an advisor, you must give the decision maker some options. Okay. Like as we lawyers do, for me to write for you a legal opinion, I must first of all put the bare facts to you. Then apply the law to those facts. Okay. Then even give you option 1, option 2, option 3. So I am not sure whether we can actually say the problem is the advisors. Okay. The question I think for me should be, do these people, do they have the capacity to even take any advice of a constitutional nature? Because 2 weeks ago, is it when we were celebrating the BBI judgment, the court clearly pronounced itself that the president does not have certain powers and he cannot make certain decisions. And typical of this presidency, again, disregarded that judgment. So that an advisor to the president will be able to say, Mr. President, there is this judgment that's still hanging on your head. They questioned your authority. And like Philip said, the president, yes, can establish an office in the public service pursuant to Article 132, sub-Article 4 of the Constitution. But there is a disclaimer. It's dependent upon an advice from the Public Service Commission. And the Public Service Commission is expected, when now, considering that request, say, from the president, to go to the people, apply principles of national governance, particularly Article 10. Ask the people of Kenya. The president has said, I want to do A, B, C, D. I want to create this office. I want to make these appointments. What do you think? That has been established in many judgments, that the president cannot willy-nilly just wake up and decide what he wants to do. This is not the Kenya. But by the way, and again, this is not the KANU era. But we shouldn't be surprised, again, as Kenyans, because these are just KANU. This is just KANU, metamorphosing from, KANU of those days to the KANU of today, which is called Jubilee. And you can see again another KANU coming up in 2022 through what they call the one
Kenya
alliance.
True to Moi's philosophy.
Exactly.
100 years.
Moi alisema nini?
Alisema KANU itaongoza kwa miaka 100. Ndio tunahesabu karibu nafika 93.
Tunafikisha ngapi sasa?
61 the other day, isn't it?
61, huh?
Yeah,
Really? So we still have 39 years to go.
40 more years to go.
39 years to go. The Lord is good.
Highly likely we might see the prophecy come to fruition. The thing is, the man is surrounded by flatterers. And Machiavelli says, be wary of flatterers.
But you are one of them. What happened?
Like I told you,
Damascus?
failure is an orphan. Nobody would want to be associated with failures. I see we'll reach a point where even the president himself will dissociate himself
from himself.
Yes, from some of his actions. And the sooner he does that, the better. you know, even if
What is your point of departure with the presidency?
My point, I would say BBI for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you are pro-BBI. For the longest time, you've been pro-BBI.
Yes, you know.
What changed? Because they have not changed the document. The document is still the same. They have not amended.
Like Paul, I was blind to some point. But then critically looking at the judgment delivered by the court, some issues have been brought to the fore which I cannot ignore. Like the fact that, you know, the president or elected representatives cannot purport to initiate a popular constitutional amendment initiative. That should have been plain to the president and his advisors from the word go. And you know, the clamor to appeal, it is good that they have appealed the ruling. It is good that we get a final say, but probably the Supreme Court on the exact position on how and when and who can amend the constitution. But then there are very many dark clouds hanging over the process. And at this point, you know, it is important that we reassess our position as a country. Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, we'd be lying to ourselves. And eventually, you know, I know of a donkey, a tale on a donkey that once said, you know, complained to the head that the head has been leading for so long, and it's time to
it is time to lead.
It's time to lead. And that is how the donkey found itself in a ditch.
Okay. All right. So what you didn't give us any comments on what you think about the prayers that we had yesterday. Do you think as a country we take our religion seriously or religious?
Whenever I hear of prayer breakfast, all I think is what we are having here, samosas and coffee and camaraderie between people devoid of the concerns of normal wananchi. I mean, how has it ever benefited us? You know, these people, like my senior said a moment ago, you know, they'll be praying 1 minute and immediately they walk out of that place, they are hitting one another. A good example is what happened immediately after yesterday's prayer meeting. You know, there was a lovely wedding that took place immediately thereafter. And there are some people I expected to see in that wedding that I didn't. You know, and it raised many question marks.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, and I don't want to address it because it's none of my concern, but then it speaks to the hypocrisy, our hypocrisy as a nation. But then I wanted to correct AUKOT and tell him that, you know, that is nothing, it's not special, it's not limited to us. Even Jesus Christ complained of the Pharisees. They were there even in those days. Yeah, so it's not unique to us.
They are praying and supplicating. Anyway.
Actually, in the prayer means something in terms of guidance, in terms of our actions. You know, I keep on arguing one thing, because, and I've said this in the show a couple of times, that we are, even if, you know, the Pharisees were there, you know, the pretentiousness of us as a nation manifests this way.
Okay.
Christians generally, and of course Muslims and other religions, Sikhs, the Buddhists and the rest, they will cite their holy books. For example, to use the example of Christians, we are hardly guided by the 10 commandments, just 10 commandments.
Kumi peke yake.
Kumi tu peke yake. Now, we are being lured into a constitutional amendment to amend 264 articles of the Constitution with 6 schedules to it.
Okay.
And that we are being told that is what will make our lives comfortable. If 10 commandments cannot make us live comfortably with each other, make peace with each other, how can amending a constitution of 264 articles with 6 schedules help us? So that pretense is what the political class is propagating every day, you know, among Kenyans. And unfortunately, Kenyans are buying into it. In fact, I would have been so interested to hear what why Philip initially was supporting BBI.
That's what I wanted to know, because like I was saying, the document has not been changed.
Selling point for you, really.
The selling point for me is this,
Yes.
Immediately after elections, if Musalia is not on the table, then the lawyers will say, no Musalia, no peace. If Raila is not on the table, lawyers will say, no Raila, no peace. So it seems to me like Kenyans would be content.
EKURU was not on the table.
Of course, Turkanas would come down. They would come to Kenya and burn the capital. Now that to me was a big concern. You know, probably I thought to myself, being a pragmatist, probably it is a high time we give them what they want. Probably our constitution is too idealistic and far removed from the masses. But you know, the other day the court argued that, you know, we are changing the core, the basic structure of the constitution, and I've had to relook at that constitution and really wonder, you know, if we remove the backbone, you know, if the constitution were a man and we removed the head, we argued and said, you know, we don't need this head. We probably don't need the back. We don't need the left leg. What then are we left with? So we ought to be really careful on how we proceed in mutilating or amending the constitution, as they say. So to me, you know, I've had to really reassess my position. And ultimately I've arrived at the conclusion that we are better off with the constitution as it is. Okay. Better the devil we know than the angel we assume we'll end up with at the end of the day.
You know, I'd like to persuade Philip not to buy into this false narrative that if so-and-so is not in government, his community will pick up arms and fight. That is the lie that we are buying ourselves into, Philip. Because, first of all, let's examine. The only time I would say, arguably, that there was serious tension in this country and post-election violence was 2007, 2008, because we witnessed in broad daylight what was happening. You see, people who fail to form government will always propagate the narrative that Kenya is not at peace because they are not in government. I'll give you a very concrete example, Philip. Today, yes, the Kikuyus, maybe by majority, we can assume, voted for President Uhuru. The Luos, maybe by majority, voted for Raila. We are not sure about whether the Luyas voted by majority for Mudavadi or the Kambas, Kalonzo Musyoka. But let's use the two examples of Raila and Uhuru. Uhuru forms the current government. We don't see Kikuyus lining up in State House, say that because one of our own is in State House, therefore we are benefiting. We don't see Kikuyus businesses actually now advancing and overtaking other businesses, especially in this, for example, pandemic. Did we see any favors favors for the Kikuyus as opposed to other Kenyans? We are all suffering as Kenyans because of our leadership that is currently in State House. After the handshake, let's go to Raila. Yes, they had a handshake with Uhuru. Then they concocted this lie called BBI, Building Bridges Initiative. But the truth for the matter is, did we see Luos better off because we assume they're actually supporting Raila by majority? Did we see the lives of Luos getting better? No. Of course not. I mean, we are also, so I think let's not buy into this lie that until I'm in government, that's my community will be at peace. No political leader today, whether elected by majority of his tribesmen or women, picks up his salary, goes back to his constituency and tells his constituents, line up. What we have failed to do, Philip, is that we have failed to enforce the rule of law. If, for example, President Uhuru had the legitimacy of the people of Kenya, after forming the government, you should have enforced the rule of law and told Raila, you cannot swear yourself. That's a violation of Article 3, Sub-Article 2. You cannot purport to form a government other than the one that has been, declared to have won. So he failed to enforce the law because you know what? These people play games with Kenyans. Yeah. You know, they know what the kind of games they play. And as a matter of fact, you realize that even after the handshake, really, if it was supposed to really bring Kenyans together, and you know it's a lie. It has never brought Kenyans together. Yeah. It has actually divided this country more than united it.
Can you legislate good manners?
You can't.
Like
if you just have bad
manners,
to
love MAGAL.
Just
no, because it's the constitution.
You know. So for me, I think as Kenyans, we really must change our narrative and say, why are we always being misled by these people? Are they really the cleverest of Kenyans in this country? You know? Are they?
I know.
Yeah? And as a matter of fact, even the educational levels are questionable, whether they actually even went to school or not. So why are we following these people blindly as if Kenya only belongs to them? And this is, for me, what shocks me, and I've said it many times here, and I'll repeat it again.
Yes.
I am actually beginning to doubt our education as a people. People went to school, went to colleges. Did we actually leave these colleges educated? Or we just left with book knowledge certificates? Why are we not applying our intellect to our societal problem.
We went there for data copy paste.
Exactly. Me, I think that's where we are going wrong as a society, that we have actually submitted ourselves. And as Professor Ojuang will say, we are just willing slaves.
Willing slaves. They're saying, please tighten it.
Tighten the noose.
Tighten the noose. Please tighten the noose. Anyway, all right. Now, talking about the issues of the president being a constitutional or unconstitutional president in terms of how we respect. And I was hearing to his speech when he was approving the appointment of CJ Kome, and she told her that to go ahead and dignify the courts and ensure that she retains the rule of law and she edifies the judicial system. Now, the president is on record for going against a lot of court orders. One of them is on last week when he was launching KMC. There's already a court ruling and a court order that KMC, Kenya Meat Commission, should be reverted back the relevant ministry. The president was launching it under KDF. I don't know, Magal, how does that make you feel?
Of course, again, it goes to the question as to whether we adhere to the rule of law or not. By the simple fact that he contravened a court order, it tells you that he doesn't adhere to the rule of law. But then I've had issues with KMC for a long time. There's a time I supplied my mbuzis there. I took the 600 mbuzi, a whole trailer, and those guys really mistreated me. It took me 3 months to get money, and I lost most of my product to be kind with them. There was theft, rampant theft of whatever it is that I deliver. And I don't think this is a problem that solely afflicts KMTC. It's KMC. It cuts, KMC. It cuts across the board with all the parastatals, with all the state corporations. And it is what my senior was alluding to earlier on. There is a report that was commissioned on restructuring of the parastatals, merging some, dissolving others, and so on and so forth, which has never really been implemented. We need to implement such reports. KDF is doing a good job, we can see, but outside the legal structure that is there, and that raises questions. And it is the good manners that you are talking about. It is the same with the judiciary. We are supposed to have, under the constitution, we are supposed to have a judiciary fund that would further show up the independence of the judiciary. Yet nobody has spoken of it. The Treasury has refused to relinquish its illegal mandate over those funds. Judiciary cannot establish an account at the CBK to control itself. So where are we headed? Until such a time that we've fully implemented the current constitution, can we talk of there being loopholes or of can we allege that it is unworkable? Until such time that we've really exhausted all the mechanisms under our current laws, it would be pretentious of us to purport to make any amendments. I mean, you cannot amend something on the pretext that it is not working when you've not tried.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when you talk about...
Let's call a spade a spade. What the president has actually done, he has militarized a public entity called KMC. That's what he has done. And KDF's accounts are not auditable, because they are listed as... they are listing, I think, of those accounts, NIS and others. So you cannot audit those accounts. So again, as Kenyans, we can never call for public accountability of how that parastatal is operating. And secondly, there is really no rationale that was given as to why KMC, a public entity, will be transferred to the Kenya Defense Forces. I don't know, unless I missed that memo. I didn't see the rationalization of why that parastatal was transferred to KDF. And like Wakili Philip has said, what happened to that report that was commissioned about these parastatals and state corporations?
Okay. So when you talk about efficient, because Magal is arguing that efficient, the list is delivered his got, and he finally got paid. Now, and he's happy.
I was eventually paid, but I think I was paid half the amount, and it was really frustrating for a young man who was trying to cross over to business. I did it once, and I did it for the last time. And in fact, that time KMTC was receiving and selling those animals on behalf of another company. It wasn't doing it for itself. It didn't have the funds. But then it speaks to political goodwill. You know, if the government wants to make KMTC, it will make it work. If the government wants to make the National Cereals and Produce Board work, it will make it work. I remember in 2013, maize was selling at 2,300, 3,000, while the VP, the current DP was the Minister of Agriculture. And as farmers, we were celebrating. But how much is a bag of maize vending today? 1,200. So the farmer is frustrated. Go to Nyanza, look at the sugar industry. If the government wants to make it work, it will make it work. But then there is no political goodwill. And again, this is where tribalism comes in, because you know, you will find a government in office helping its people, elevating its industries, elevating its agricultural sector, neglecting the people that are perceived to be in the opposition. And I was telling people, you know, people from Central complain so much against President Uhuru, but if you look at it in actual sense, you'll see that since independence, they're the ones who've benefited the most. And it's largely because they have been in government. And this is what brings the friction about. If we had nationalistic leaders with a national outlook, we wouldn't have these problems. You know, somebody who genuinely worked for the good of this country. I'm telling you, tribalism will become irrelevant. But right now, for you to get an appointment, you need connection, and one of those connections is tribal. It seems like not that we trust our tribe so much, but it seems like people are more comfortable with appointing their kinsmen into office than appointing people from other backgrounds.
You know the truth for the matter about KMC. If we truly wanted to make KMC serve the people of Kenya, we should be able to ask ourselves some basic questions. For example, where is the most supply of meat from in this country? Okay. And not to speak for pastoralists, because I'm one of them, or nomadic communities, but the truth for the matter is nomadic and pastoral communities supply 80% of the total meat that we eat, consume in this country. So if this parastatal was actually to be meaningful and to serve the people of Kenya, why not establish this parastatal even, for example, somewhere in the NFD, Northern Frontier District, create a meat industry in that region, open up the area, create opportunities for the people out there. Why put it here in Nairobi, somewhere at the river? You know, it doesn't serve the purpose, even the very intention of it. If really is to take advantage of a resource, and here resource we are talking about meat, animals. Who keeps the most animals in this country? It's the nomadic and pastoralist communities. So take this service to them. And that way you will also show them that actually you can convert your animals into actual money and then improve your livelihood. These people are millionaires, multi-millionaires with the kind of livestock that they keep. But you see, the state ought to facilitate them to be able to see money in their animals, because we know almost every 5 years there'll be a drought and famine and these animals will die. But imagine if we had this industry established among these people, and actually they can now see money in the cow, in the camel, in the donkey,
they see money.
They see money.
But the problem now, people like MAGAL will be out of business because MAGAL thrives.
I would be out of business. I had to transport those mbuzi from West Pokot all the way to the river.
So you can imagine if the farmer could take it directly to KMC.
Yeah, and you know those lorries are not supposed to travel at night, so we had to sleep on the road for 2 days.
Exactly.
Imagine if we had the abattoirs up there. I would have gathered my mbuzis and taken them up there, cut on the cost of transportation and middlemen, and made huge profit. But I had to take them all the way to Athi River, that is past Nairobi, sleep in Athi River. By the time I woke up, I'm told all my mbuzis have been slaughtered, and I'm given a sheet of paper that these are the kgs. I couldn't believe it. You know, I made a loss, a big loss, by the way. And it took me almost 3 months to get my money back, and it was a loan. By that time, I was so frustrated, I decided to go do something else. And I can imagine the kind of frustration everybody goes through. There were so many people, you know, we would go there to the office, and there would be so many people expecting their payments, complaining, you know, I haven't received my payments in 3 months. And every time I had to travel that distance. So eventually, you have to pull out of that business.
And you see, Bitok, speaking on this issue of parastatals, because it's a very topical issue. You see, the intent of these parastatals is to exploit a resource where it comes from. The tendency of our governments over the years is to actually underdevelop regions where, for example, a resource is found. For example, today, we from Turkana, from 2012, we celebrate the fact that oil has been discovered in our native
What
country.
happened to your oil, by the way?
We don't know now because they started transporting.
It went abroad for schooling.
They
It was a holiday.
They started transporting it. I don't know where, but a conscious government. What a conscious government and leadership will do. You talk. You say, okay, we have discovered, say, a resource like oil or thiamine mining, say in Kwale. Okay. We actually create an industry in that area. We industrialize that resource in that area. You create opportunities. You develop the area. So when will Kenya be known as the oil producing country or Turkana County when we cannot, it's like now saying that let's process tea or coffee in Turkana when it's being grown in central Kenya. It doesn't make sense, And this is the only way you can open up this region. All the government could have actually done for me, I mean, to use the example of Wakil and his selling his goats to KMC, establish this industry. I mean, Parastat will say those areas where the resources available. Then all government can actually do is just invest maybe in something like a rail, to that area. And this is what other governments elsewhere in the world do to develop their countries, to develop their people, to exploit and to put money into people's pockets. The only way you can put money into a nomadic person's pocket is bring that industry where they are and show them, by the way, you're walking around as a millionaire. Stop this thing of saying, serikali tusaidie, tunaomba serikali. Unaweza kujisaidia. Okay. But the government has to facilitate.
What I like about Kenyans is that, like Magal, they have two sides. They have the legal side and the illegal side.
Yes.
The legal side is saying the president acted in a very legal way. And the other side is saying, at least I got my ghost paid after KTF took over. All right, anyway, quickly moving forward. Justice CJ Koome has taken over. What awaits, sir?
First of all, I want to say I'm very excited about the fact that, and I would like to hear what Magak said, hinted earlier, that she was appointed for the wrong reasons or to serve a certain purpose. But for me, I'm excited the fact that for the first time in the history of Kenya, even as we wait for 39 years of KANU rule,
for the remaining 39.
At least we have a female, a woman head of judiciary. That for me is commendable. And secondly, from what I know of Mother Koome, she's an iron lady. Okay. She's not somebody to be walked over. She's not a pushover. I mean, I know she's tough, and I also know that she's written some very good judgments as a high court judge, and as a lawyer. Well, and she comes from also a background of human rights and civil society. So, for me, I commend her, and I think I wouldn't. Let's wait and see. I mean, people also kind of look down upon Maraga until he pronounced himself family. And you remember Maraga, even in his when living, he wanted the judiciary. He told them, don't embarrass yourself. Protect the judiciary. Do the right thing. So I will say, let's pray for the new Chief Justice. Let's wish her well. But let me also debunk the notion that many people are touting around. That a Chief Justice will definitely control judges. That's a lie. I know many judges, some of them former classmates. There's no way, even in a panel of those 7 judges, that Mother Koome will force each and every of those judges to write the kind of judgment that she wants. It will never happen, and trust me, some of those judges out there are very independent. They are their own people. So we just need to give faith to some of these institutions. Let's wait and see their performance. She's been appointed. I wouldn't want to criticize until I see how she does. And by the way, the Chief Justice is not actually doesn't wield much power like people think. It's actually purely just administrative on the one hand, but also just the titular head of the judiciary. Okay. That's all.
So there isn't much she can do. Asija would do.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think that we should worry that she will force judges. I don't think so. We saw in 2017, did Maraga force all the judges? She couldn't force Njoki or Justice Ojwang from writing their dissenting judgment. Yeah. She couldn't force Justice Lenaola, Smokino Wanjala from taking the decision they did. So I think let's wait and see.
Do you think Maraga is leaving some way bigger shoes for her?
Well, no. By the way, Justice Mother Koome, Leadership Justice Mother Koome is capable. Yeah, trust me, she will.
Okay, she'll deliver. All right.
And by the way, it's not. Let's also just deconstruct this notion when we look at CJ ahead of an institution, we just assume that that is the only person who deliver. Remember, the judiciary is big. It has the lower courts, the high courts, Court of Appeal, and now the Supreme Court. So cumulatively, it's about our leadership and maybe some policy decision that they will make. And remember, already the judiciary has actually a strategic plan which is being implemented. So we will see a chaperoning that strategic plan to fruition.
Okay. And what are your thoughts, Magal? You seem to have a...
Actually, I'm curious.
I have a divergent view. You know, one of the reasons that has been touted as to why the BBI bench ruled the way it is because of its composition, and we attribute that to the former CJ, that is Maraga, is the one who put together that court. So one way or the other, had it been constituted differently, we might have arrived at a totally different position. Okay. I'm saying this against the background of the executive's attempt to emasculate the judiciary the past 3-4 years, and we can see it's been intense. Of note is the fact that none of the Supreme Court judges actually applied for the position of the CJ, and that is telling. Even the deputy CJ herself, who had been touted for long as an automatic replacement for Maraga, never applied for that position, and we can see that kind of torture and humiliation she's been taken through. At the end of the day, the CJ sits at the apex court, and the invalidation of the court of the 2017 election says a lot about the kind of power it wields. And a bench, can tilt one way or the other, depending on only one person. So to me, it was critical that we have some, not, as per Lord Acton's dictum, justice should not only be done, but it should manifestly be seen to be done. And as much as Kome is very much qualified, I have some suspicion that her appointment, the underlying reason to her appointment are other than her capacity. I feel that it is part of an endeavor, part of the scheme by the executive to emasculate the judiciary. At the end of the day, the court with the final say is the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, yes. And I would pose a question to you and my senior here. Do you think today, as constituted, if the election petition, 2017 election petition, is placed before this bench, do you think it would rule the same way?
I don't know.
Well, you see, Wakili, depending on the facts, as you very well know that we are mouthpieces of our clients. We never own the cases that we take to court. We act on instructions of a client. The client tells me this is my case. Then we try to, the best way possible, to persuade the judge. So based upon the evidence that is placed before the bench, I wouldn't speculate until we see, okay, what matter is before this court? What are the arguments? What is the evidence before it? Then I wouldn't speculate that because, for example, I participated actively in the 2017 petitions, all of them at the Supreme Court. As an interested party, and we supported the petition to nullify the first election. Our argument was very simple. We refused to be lured into counting votes because we knew, I suspected that the system had already had already rigged the numbers. But where we caught them with their pants down is when we actually attacked the transmission of the results. And if you read that Supreme Court judgment, the reason the court actually overruled, nullified that election, is based upon the audit of transmission of results in at least 27 counties done by THIRDWAY Alliance Kenya, not even ODM, by the way. And if you remember the words of Justice Maraga, he said that because of irregularities and illegalities, so that, for example, I just applied, I just challenged my chairman, who is an auditor and a CPA, and I told him, Miruru, why don't you apply your knowledge of accounting and auditing? Can you please track for me my vote? Because I voted in Kapedo Primary Girls. I told him, mi nataka ufuate hii kura yangu vile ilisafiri mpaka kafika Bomas of Kenya from 34A, 34B, 34C. And somewhere along the way, there were so many inconsistencies. Yeah. At the polling station, these were the results. At the next, different results. At some point, can you imagine even in a polling station somewhere in Embu? And I never got a chance to go and campaign in Embu. But allegedly, I got 100%. I beat both, even Nyaga who is actually from Embu, and knowing the Kenyan politics, surely that could not have been possible.
That's not possible.
That I got 100% of all the votes in one polling station in day one. In the second day, I had 0. Nyaga now had 100%. Even Uhuru did not get any vote from them.
It was you and Nyaga competing.
It was me and Nyaga competing for those votes. But they kept on changing. So we attacked that. And so based upon that, Wakil, that's why I say, I wouldn't speculate that judges will always decide on this case, unless, of course, we look at the evidence or the way in which the case is being presented before court.
All right. That's
But
interesting to note.
there's the blemish. There's the ruling that was made one night after a bench had been hurriedly constituted without the knowledge of the former CJ, and it which then allowed the second elections to the repeat elections to go on, and she was one of the members of that bench. And those are things that cannot be ignored.
Of 2016,
of 2017, yes.
Well, you remember the repeat election,
Yes.
was actually, especially the inclusion of all the other 6 presidential candidates, was a decision by Justice John Mativo.
Yeah, there was a decision by Odunga.
And I was the applicant, actually, in that case.
In the course of the day, there was a ruling by Justice Odunga, which was in any case a suspended declaration of invalidity, that the IEBC had not properly recruited those who would be conduct of the elections. But then the now current Attorney General constituted a bench of 3, one of whom was Martha Karua, which then sat in...
Martha Kome.
Yeah, Martha Kome, sorry. Who then sat through late in the evening and lifted the... basically set aside the ruling yes, which never needed to be set aside in the first place, because like I said earlier on, it was a suspended declaration of invalidity, and he never declared those people illegally in the office, and therefore they needed not to have vacated. But these people, in their hurry and rush, never considered the fact and made a ruling that was rather favorable to the executive. We cannot ignore such red flags, and we need to call them to question. I've read a lot on the newspaper. Yes, she's a woman. Yes, and to me, there is something that people don't want to talk about. There is a blind spot that these people are, like you're telling me earlier on before the show. These people are appealing more to our emotions than to reason. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's not talk about.
But see, the reason I think we cannot, Akili, I want to persuade you that the reason we may not want to ignore the idea, the fact of the matter that she is a woman, yes, that's not the only qualification. Actually, that's not a qualification at all. The fact that she's a woman, that's a biological accident to all of us. We are men, they are women, that's okay. So, but remember also in the making of our constitution, Wakili, the gender question has always been on the table. In fact, one of the criticism we have against this government and even parliament today is the failure to uphold the gender rule. So I think for me, it's worth celebrating the fact that in the history of Kenya, we have the first female Chief Justice. Okay. But that does not mean that that's our only qualification. I think for me, it's good that at least we have appointed a female Chief Justice, and in a way, trying to fulfill the promises of the Constitution about gender parity.
All right, now let's go to the Court of Appeal. BBI has appealed. 8 lawyers have been put on board. And last week, there was a question this week, the question from Taifa Leo. Nani atawalipa wazito? Now, the BBI bill was nullified by the courts first for its originality. Where has it come from? And they said it came from the people. Sorry. And the question is, who is going to pay for these lawyers? This just came mchango ya Wanjiku, kusema tunachanga kulipa mawakili. That is issue number 1. Issue number 2, among the lawyers is Otendo Molo and James Orengo, who addressed reservations on the legality of the bill. I don't know, from a moral and a legal perspective, do they stand the moral ground to defend the same document that these records that they have said is unconstitutional? 2 things. Who will pay them? 2. 1, who will pay them? 2. Where does it leave Orengo and Otendo Molo?
Let me go first.
Okay. Yes. On payment, of course, whoever instructs an advocate has to pay. The AG will be paid by the government. IBC will pay its own counsel from its own kitty. Raila Omolo, we expect he'll pay his own counsel. Yeah. At the end of it all, we know in cases whoever wins gets the cost. If it will go against the government, it depends. It's a public interest litigation, and the court might rule that the taxpayer should not bear the burden because after all, this is all being done for his benefit. Okay. As to whether Otiende Amolo and SC Orengo are in conflict, as advocates, it doesn't depend. When you're receiving instruction, really, your convictions don't count for much. Okay. You have to take and prosecute your client's instructions. Of course, they are on record as saying that the BBI usurped the role of the IBC in not just creating 90 positions, but also allocating them. And one of the rulings by the BBI bench is that is unconstitutional. Okay. That is a duty exclusively reserved to IEBC, and it's one of the unamendable clauses. And this was their position in Parliament, and they were actually kicked out of committees because of that position. Let's wait and see how they argue it out in court. But I would still maintain that indeed, you cannot. The BBI doesn't have the legal mandate. Neither does it have the expertise or the capacity to allocate the 90 constituencies. And that was turning out to be one of the key issues. And in fact, it's where I started questioning myself and my support for BBI. I mean, how do we just how do you create 90 posts and throw them about? Yeah. And again, these 90 positions will be, if at all they are created, if at all we go to a referendum and we do have them and they are distributed the way they are distributed, I can tell you there will be a cause for hue and cry for a long time to come. So as Kenyans, we really need to think about that particular point critically before we move ahead.
When I was in law school, I think I was in second year or third year, there's a course all of us lawyers are taught called professional ethics and responsibility. And it pricks our conscience as lawyers that there are certain matters or certain stand we must take as a lawyer. You cannot conflict yourself, for example, in representing a client. So in the case, whether Otiende Amolo and Orengo's conscience is pricked, I think it's an ethical issue that only they can answer. There are certain matters for me as a lawyer I can never take because of my own conscious belief in certain things. So and also if I take a stand as a lawyer on certain issues, then I cannot again be seen to be
presenting a conflicting
idea. So it's dishonesty is a very ethical question that I think only Otiende Amolo and Orengo could actually respond to. As to who will pay them, of course, like Wakili said, is the instructing client. But we also know the instructing client here is BBI. And BBI has a kitty of about 14 billion that was meant for this referendum. So, and that money comes from us. So it is us Kenyans who are going to pay for these lawyers. Let's not mince our words about that. The Attorney General does not need to hire private lawyers because the Attorney General, the State Law Office, is one huge legal firm. They have got lawyers from all over in the country who we are already paying. Anyway, we're already paying them a salary, including the Attorney General himself. The Attorney General actually is the chief legal advisor to government and lawyer number one. So he should ideally be the one actually hugging the case for the state in court. So why are we expending more money paying private lawyers, and we know the bills that will be paid? If you recall, for example, the saga around some of the fee notes to IBC, to Nairobi City County government by lawyers, it's in millions and millions of Kenyan shillings. And this is taxpayers' money that's being diverted. Whether IBC pays these guys from their kitty or not, it will definitely eat into its budget to prepare for matters election, even going towards 2022. So the payment eventually will be from us Kenyans. It's our money that will be diverted because of this unnecessary and constitutional process called BBI.
Alright.
So tutalipa hiyo pesa bitoka. Lazima
ulipange. Sasa ndio anasema kitu ni wajiko.
Atalipa kutoka na ile pesa nilipo na KMC.
Ya mbuzi. Leo na mbuzi. Hiyo kilo zilipotea kwa mbuzi ndio inalipa. Hizo kilo zilipotea.
Those people don't pay you for the skin and they don't pay you for matumbo and So my
Sasa
And
kuokopea
they
matumbo.
don't throw them away.
yeah, of course, I'm sure they're not thrown away. Yeah,
Sasa ulete mtu uende na matumbo yako.
that's what I was thinking. Why don't you give me my hide and matumbo and the head, then I go back with it kwa Pinguri.
Ufungue butchery ya matumbo. Mtaani.
It means there is somebody there
Haya ni chakula mzuri sana.
Basi matumbo ni safi by the way.
making a lot of money on the side. And in fact, there are so many abattoirs that have sprung out up around Athi River, around KMC, that are reaping from its losses. Yeah, so
It's actually owned by those people who work at KMC.
Yes.
Ndio wanadai
Kama tu madaktari na makemist.
matumbo, kichwa ya mbuzi, miguu, ya kutengeneza supu mzuri.
Ya mutura. Anyway, now the president has also appealed. I don't know what are the contents, because I saw an article that said the president, this case is personal for him. I don't know what are the contents of the presidential appeal, Maga.
Article 143 Article 2 actually, as per the court's ruling, is that the president is not insulated from civil action. For his acts that fall outside of the constitution. And I think that is what the president is really worried about, especially considering the number of rulings that have gone against him, where it has been held that he's either acted illegally or unconstitutionally. You can imagine the number of cases that, with that ruling, you can imagine the number of cases that can potentially be brought against him. And that is why they say it's personal, that he has to appeal against this decision. But then what would he be arguing? What would he be saying? That he cannot and should not be prosecuted for illegalities. That he is not liable for acts, for unconstitutional acts done in what we consider not to be to have been done in good faith. Let's wait and see. Let's wait, and he's appointed a very good advocate. Let's see what his case will be at the appeal level. But then again, the fact that he's appointed an advocate at a personal level to act for him, it means he's acknowledging
That he is
it means he
personal-
agrees
He's personally
with the
suable.
fact that he can be sued at a personal level. So I don't know what his argument is.
I think that the president is saving face. This is an egg on his face, together with his political brother Raila Odinga. And like I said, we are keenly studying that judgment. And one of the things that we will be pursuing as a political party is to sue them to refund Kenyans that money, because they were never authorized. In fact, one of the things they have lied about is what was the source of the BBI money. We didn't see a special appropriation bill in parliament setting aside a budget for BBI. Hii pesa inatoka wapi? Lazima watuambie, because this money, obviously BBI was well funded. And see, a popular initiative cannot be funded by taxpayers' money. Otherwise, mimi kwa nini sikulipwa kupunguza mizigo? I might as well now bring a suit and say that mine was a compliant, followed Article 257. So I need to be compensated all the millions of money that we spent, that Kenyan supported. So, they're trying to save face. And to be honest with you, I think they are opening a Pandora's box for a lot of suits against them. Like the judges hinted, they could be sued. The president can be sued on matters civil. And he is only insulated now on matters criminal, but that's only as long as he's president. Once he leaves office, he can still be sued. And I think President Uhuru Kenyatta is panicking.
Okay. All right. It's be interesting to see how it turns out in the courts. Anyway, now there's something else again. There's a trend that is coming up, and we seem to be making peace with it and accepting it. Disappearances. When EKURU disappears today, we can be almost sure that we are going to bury him next week, or in the next 2 weeks. He'll be found in a river somewhere. I mean, are we normalizing extrajudicial executions? Are we normalizing exterminations? Are we normalizing all these things? What does that make you feel as a citizen?
Of course, this again, one of those areas where I tend to think as an advocate on one side and think as a Kenyan on the other. There are many crimes. We have many criminals. There are many crimes that go unresolved. There is insecurity in the country. Now the question is, yes, it is illegally. It might be. It is illegal to kill or to execute extrajudicially. But is it immoral? I'm conflicted as to what position really to take. First and foremost, and Kenya as a Kenyan, sometimes you heave some sigh of relief when these things happen. But if you look at it from a legal point of view, it's really wrong. It's apprehensive. But is it a morally? Is it morally apprehensible? I mean, what is the take by Kenyans on this?
I'll say both. It's a moral issue, but also it's, of course, legal. That killing is an offense known to law. And if you are caught, the penalty is that you'll hang by the neck until you die. That's what our penal code says. Okay. But truth for the matter is this, we talk. I don't know whether I shared this experience with you one time. I don't think our investigative arms are actually effective. I'm doing a couple of cases now, criminal, actually a couple of them criminal cases representing some clients. Okay. I have tried since last year actually to try to get a known figure from among the community to be arrested by the police. That person has never been arrested. You go and interview the community, they will tell you, oh, this person is here, he comes around, he is known. So I think there is a way in which the police in this country are actually not following crime. Okay. They are not actually investigating to some level of finality. And that has become the norm. Today, I get frustrated as a lawyer, a very senior lawyer in this country, with some very, good clients, that at some point I had to give out my car and my driver to try and track a criminal, a non-criminal. We've supplied everything. His telephone numbers, his pictures, even the location where this person lives. But the police will always come and say, Atujamona, we have tracked him, tumemfuata, amefika hapa Isili, ameingia sijui St. Teresa, sijui ako wapi. And they have got all these facilities, but they'll never arrest. So imagine this is me getting frustrated. And I've asked myself this question. I've even called a very senior police officer, a friend of mine. I told him, boss, if I, EKURU AUKOT, and I'm not saying I'm special, who is capable? I have got your direct number. Me, I can call Kinoti, I can call even Mutiambai directly, I can call these other people. Kama mimi siwezi kusaidika. Na nawajua. And I don't want any favor from you. Hebu nikuulize tu Mkenya wa kawaida ameenda kureport. Crime is crime in this country. Okay. Whether murder, whether just theft of a small item. There's a time, imagine my client was told, a police officer, DCIO, investigating a crime I was following, was saying, unajua mdosi alitutuma kwenda arrest somebody in Nyamira. And the guy who want to get arrested is just here roaming around Isili, Amara mengia sujui Kilimani, amenda sujui Kiambu. The police themselves are the ones offering this information to me. You can imagine the frustration I went through and that which my client was going through. Wewe ni kuuliza tu Mkenya wa kawaida kama uwezi kupatia police transport au kwenda kushikia mwizi. Hiyo crime haitakuwa investigated. So you can imagine now disappearances. They will probably tell you tutaanza wapi. For example, if you look at the case of this businessman, what was his name? Is it Mohammed? Bashir. Bashir was a clear case of execution. He was executed by people who probably knew exactly what they were doing. Okay. Remember, his car was tracked. Yes. As the police were going, to come and retrieve the car. And the question is, how can you go leave a crime scene? Exactly. You go, yes. And tuende wote halafu sasa turudi kuchukua gari. Waliporudi wakuta gari imechomwa beyond. Imechukuliwa. It was actually been banned. Yeah, it had been banned. Yes. But when they came, they found the car was not there. The car was missing. Yes. Yeah. So this is a well orchestrated murder, and trust me, I doubt very much if people in the law enforcement weren't aware of this. And the other thing that really comes now to question, is the CCTV camera tunaziona in this city zinasaidia na nini? In other countries, you can commit a crime, but the investigation will go on and on, including using whatever resources is available. And if you remember the death of Mushai, outside hapo hiyo roundabout ya nini, see there were CCTV cameras there. Yes. Zile mamilioni zilikuwa zimewekwa hapo kwa barabara. We couldn't even be told there was a CCTV footage of who may have killed Mushai. So the truth for the matter is nobody investigates crime in this country, and especially kama wewe ni mlanyazi, kama wewe ni mtu wa kawaida, forget about it. If you can see the police are running around a lot with crimes to do with millions and millions of Kenya shillings, especially corruption related. So the most lucrative business now to investigate in Kenya is corruption. is a lucrative business. You know, unajua ukiinvestigate mtu mwenye ameiba mamilioni kadhaa akikugonga
unakula pamoja.
Unakula pamoja. Alafu hiyo mambo inatoka.
Sasa kidogo unasema
sasa imagine kama mimi nimeiba siji 30 million. Alafu jamaa analipa mshahara siji ya 25,000 ndio anakuja kuninvestigate. Unamuuliza wewe namna gani bana?
Hata nikulipa miezi 3. Ni 60.
Hata wacha miezi 3. Chapo kama half a million hivyo tunanyamaza unaanza kusema.
Jamaa hata anapoteza barabara. Anapoteza neto. Magal.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is a sad.
When you look at the report,
I mean, but that's the truth.
I think my biggest concern is that the biggest player in cover-up is becoming the government, because they're the ones who are feeding us with information that these guys are terrorists, he has terrorist links, he was sending money, this and that. This is a guy who's been doing serious government projects in tunes of billions. He has been seen with the president. So I want to understand, okay, if the authorities are being honest, they are telling us that these guys are terrorists, does it mean then that we don't have an intelligence system? Because if you're telling us EKURU is always me now is always hanging out with EKURU as a president, is a terrorist. So what are you saying about EKURU?
I mean, the investigations will be done, but there is a desired outcome, and that is what will be found out. That will be the finding of the investigation.
Okay.
I believe we have a very capable intelligence arm of the government. We have a very capable police. When they want to do their job, they can do it. Like we saw with the matter of the NLC communication assistant. We could see the investigations were done, and within no time, the purported murderer had been arrested. I'm not sure whether indeed he is the murderer or not. It could still be another case of cover-up. But then the government is breaking the laws it's supposed to be enforcing. And Kenyans ought to be worried a lot about this. Yesterday it is Bashir, tomorrow it's either me or you. So we need to question the government's actions. Should at all things will change,
yes,
and investigations might be done, and those who committed the crime might be brought to book. We hope that at such time those people will be prosecuted and convicted, and that they will serve as an example. But as things stand today, it is hopeless.
We leave no stone unturned.
You know, the other thing we must mention.
That's when you know no stone will be touched.
The other thing we must mention here, why, for example, even the police do not have the energy to investigate, unless, of course, there's a personal interest to it.
Or there is money involved.
Our policemen are poorly paid. They are so demoralized. They live like IDPs without homes. I mean, they can, you know, there's a serious moral issue here. I remember when as a presidential candidate in 2017, I was given state security. Of course, it's by constitution, because if you kill any presidential candidate or even deputy, the election is repeated. So the state cannot chance that because of the cost and everything. But I kept on asking myself, these people are guarding you 24/7. 24/7. You're probably taking home, like say a minister or now a president, you're taking home maybe about $1 million with all the trappings of power. But this guy who is guarding you actually maybe takes home 10,000, 15,000. I've seen actually a pay slip of a cop. It is so pathetic. That's a guy that you want to tell to go and chase some very dangerously harmed criminals. and at the end of the day, he gets 15,000. At you, who is just hopping from house to fancy room, whatever, fancy hotels and stuff like that, taking home $1 million. That guys are demoralized. You know, they live pathetically. And that's why for me, and I don't condone it. I don't think it's okay for the policemen to be corrupt. But sometimes I once had a conversation with a cop, and a cop just told me, "Man, EKURU, you guys, you just think at TCC we are corrupt. To be honest, we are trying to make ends meet." This policeman who were paying 15,000 or 20 takes home 20,000 after my deduction, my loan up and pale nini, you know, has to feed his children, his family, has to send them to school, his kids have to go to college.
The same things you also want.
Kama watoto wao mdosi ambaye anawachunga. So why do you expect that these people get money if they are not going to corrupt? You know, we've just given them a position of influence, and these are the reality we need to confront today. Yeah, don't be surprised when cops actually do not take your complaint seriously in a police station. Kama hujawalipa. Yeah. They just want to survive. I was
saying there's someone who had gone to report a robbery on Southern Pipers. Atakafika huko polisi anaambia, na hiyo Southern Pipers yenyewe siku hizi ni kubaya.
Yes.
Sasa kwanza
Did I not tell you the story?
tunasikia sisi ni kubaya.
There's a time I shared with you my story here
Yes.
of how I lost my laptop and my entire research of like 3 months when I was just about to finish my doctorate. We went to report to Central Police Station. And the cop told, just pick the phone and call. Hey, Siwa, wapi ile laptop vijana wako walichukua hapa outside Maendeleo house. I was dumbfounded. I was shocked. I asked this cop, Kwani, how do you know this guy? Ati, no, we know that, there are these lords, warlords. They control certain regions of Nairobi. It may not be him who has stolen, but it is his boys. So they bring to him, then he pays them. So the cops know. In fact, this makes cops complicit. In criminal law, there's something called conspiracy to commit an offense, or even failure, for example, to report. So it makes the cops, the criminals, actually they know the people who are doing bad things. Like now that case, northern southern bypass ni mbaya.
Hata viasikia siku hizi. Hiyo ni mtu unamtegemea. Kama ile sababu ile mtu unamtegemea kwa Christmas
and to be honest, they are not motivated. That's just a fact. Let's just call a spade a spade. Policemen in this country are badly paid. They are poorly paid. They are not motivated at all. I can also give you another example why cops will never, for example, react to an offense. 2011, if you recall, about 100 Turkana were killed by the community called the Merile from the other side of the border. So
in Ethiopia.
We flew to a place called Todonyang in Turkana, and 100 bodies. Yeah. So we went to a police station, a police post actually. There were only 7 police officers. At any one time, 3 either on leave. One is either on leave. Moja ameenda load was about 300 plus kilometers kwenda kununua supplies. Mwingine labda ni mgonjwa ama sijui ajisikii vizuri. So 3 cops manning a police post in a border town called Todonyang. Then, so I asked these cops, we were so angry with them. We told them, why have you guys not booked these deaths in the OB? Wanaambia wakili wewe ni wazima manini. Unaona watu 100 wanakuja na AK47. You are only like 4 of you. You take cover.
Unatoka na rada.
I imagine I could understand because you're saying even if I fire, maybe I have a magazine of about 30 bullets. Even if I fire, these are 100 guys. Kwanza they were backed by the Ethiopian army in a way. They have killed our people. We have sent a signal to Nairobi. In fact, hata hawana communication. Ni masimu tu.
Wako tu.
Yeah, wametuma signal. Hakuna backup. Yeah. So you saw, for example, even what happened in Garissa when the students were killed. The 143?
Yeah.
When they were killed. Look at our reaction as a country. Instead of us now even flying guys from Nanyuki, which is close by, just flying choppers and the rest. Actually, the chopper was now
somebody was
sending
some
minister and whatever. Instead of flying our Reke squad and those guys immediately surround that place and kill those terrorists. We never even caught one terrorist. They just disappeared.
They had finished the job by the time the
just left.
got there.
Yeah.
It
Our
was
reaction.
To me, that was the lowest point
Yeah.
in Uhuru's administration. Yeah, we let down those students. To me, it pains me to this day. Those people, there was intelligence that these people would attack, and they did attack. The ambush happened early in the morning, and it took the government the whole day. And our soldiers had to travel by road. While
ministers were being flown.
Yes, while somebody, a military officer was using the chopper with his family flying from Mombasa to Nairobi. And I wonder, do we have only one chopper in this country?
We have police. We have police choppers. This is a terrorist attack on our people, which means we have to defend our country, and this calls for the role of KDF, because that's their role, to defend country and the borders of this country.
And actually,
I would have unleashed the Kenya Army, the Air Force, from wherever they are, to surround all of Garissa and make sure that we hunt down these people and kill them or bring them to justice.
But we don't have that reasoning. Anyway, I think we had a conversation with Musa Yego. Actually led operation. He was a former head of flying squad at that time, and he led operations both in Riverside Drive, Dusit, and also in Mandera, in Garissa. It's Garissa.
Yes,
Garissa at that time. And I was having a conversation with him, just a light conversation as a friend, and nothing really serious. And I think maybe now I need to have a serious conversation with him because he's already retired. So maybe he can let us into these intrigues. And he was telling me he had to leave Nairobi to go and command the operation in Garissa. because the guys who were on the ground at that time were the normal administration police, who probably are not well trained and equipped to operate in such a way. And this guy to leave Nairobi on road. And that's when now all these things are making sense. And you see, at that point, it doesn't eat you. That actually there's some serious abnormal operation strategy. It doesn't eat you. Now it's eating me. That, well, we actually had to wait for someone to travel from Nairobi to Garissa.
And we had to lose 143 students.
And for every second, a bullet was being fired.
And, you know, to me, that is the lowest point of this country. That is that is one stain that we cannot erase from the fabric of this nation. We lost 143 students. Families, people we lost loved ones, and there is nothing we did about it. At the end of the day, when these people had finished their jobs, the terrorists had finished their job and had sat down now, they could not leave the compound. Okay. They had killed everyone that they could kill. They were just awaiting to be killed.
You see, we talk, there is a hair strip in Garissa, meaning even a caravan can actually land there with policemen, GSU, Air Force, Army guys armed to the teeth. We have choppers, we have bases, air bases. Even the closest one I think should be Nanyuki, if I'm not wrong. There are even training camps in a place like Samburu. Isiolo. All they can do actually is just cross to Garissa. It's actually a short flight distance. It has become we just need to accept one thing, that we don't have a caring government or a caring leadership. The lives of ordinary Kenyans do not matter to them. What matters is their own lives and their own interests. Okay. Just to share with you, for example, a comment from Abbas Njuguna, who gives an example saying that, like, where I come from, we everyday person will tell you, 50 cows have been stolen, 100 cows have been stolen. And then they just disappear into thin air. Yeah. Wewe ni pastoralism talk. Yeah. Wewe umeuza mbuzi. Today unaibiwa hata kama 30 goats kama unachunga 30 goats in this city. Surely there will be attention. Yeah. If you are hata vumbi itaonekana hiyo. Inaweza kudisappear. So the people who commit these crimes are actually being enabled by the law enforcement. By the way, and remember there is the story of that fake cop, Waiganjo. He was basically facilitating. Yeah. By the time that a guy like this who's a fake cop, he's actually promoted to what level? He had he
was an inspector.
He was an inspector.
And he was riding police choppers.
He was riding police choppers.
He was leading the operation. In Baringo at that time.
Exactly. So these guys, they are the ones who actually, they collude. Police enforcement officers actually collude with thieves. Yeah, au this wanaleta hizi ng'ombe, wanalipa kitu yao, hizo ndio ng'ombe zinachinjwa hapo. Kwa hivyo saa nyingine tukikula nyama tukumbuke tunakula nyama haramu. Maisha ya mtu imepoteza sababu ya hii nyama mimi nakula.
So tafanya tuache kula tu managu peke yake.
Anyway, vegetarian.
Wacha tuanze kula cucumber ama inaitwa susumba. Anyway. Now there's been there are around two demands that are being made. One is being made by LSK about the constitution of the Court of Appeal. And LSK is saying that first of all it's arguing that this thing has been termed as urgent. They're saying, how is it urgent? How is it urgent? Where are we going? What's the agency? Now, two is they're saying that we cannot have 3 judges hearing the case. They're not requesting for either 7 or 9 up to 11 to hear the case and 2 days of hearing. What do you make of that, Magal?
I think they have a case, yeah. You cannot have a matter determined by a high court, a bench of 5. Then you have the same the appeal heard by a bench of 3. That would be a misnomer. I mean, what is the wisdom that these 3 possess that is so much greater than what the 5 possess? It is only then logical that you have either an equal bench or an even bigger bench to determine the appeal. So that one I do support their plea. Number 2 is on time. These people have been restricted to making a 3-page submission. Yet the matters that they're handling are quite complex, they're quite weighty. If you look at the judgment itself from the High Court, it runs to 353 pages. So how do you then restrict a person to making a 3-page submission on such a matter? It would be a travesty. Basically what you're telling him is, we've already made a determination. We don't need to hear what you have to say. We know what we want to say. So either you give us something compressed, either you restrict yourself and tell to speaking to 2 minutes, or not at all. It doesn't make sense. Of course, it's an urgent matter. It has to be dispensed of with as quickly as possible. Not to say that we should have a certain judgment or a predetermined judgment. Only that it should be dispensed of quickly. It can go either way.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's urgent. I agree with the urgency of the matter because, first of all, like we have said before, BBI is alive right from the very beginning. The sooner we bury this lie, the better. That is the urgency with which, for me, I would consider it.
You want to expedite the cremation.
We have to expedite the cremation. Hii kitu lazima tuiwe mara moja ndio tuanze kujipanga.
Before it starts stinking.
Yes, because it continues to stink, bana. You have to clean. You have to clean.
What about the constitution of the bench?
I think it's a weighty issue, just even flowing from the fact that it's urgent. It is important for us Kenyans to forestall the unnecessary expenditure of our public money on a referendum that's not really worth it. And like we have said here, talked many times, in amending any law or in passing any law or the constitution, whatever the case may be, you always must establish what is the common good in a law. If the common good is missing, then it's a bad law. And that's why for me, BBI is bad. It stinks. It's a skunk. We need to actually bury it. So for me, that's the urgency. And therefore, we must put in a larger bench because, again, the suspicion people have, maybe, 2 people or we cannot get majority. So let's get an even number. Even adapt, for example, a bench such as the Supreme Court, where we can make sure that there's an odd number, say of 7 judges or even 11. Why not? The matter is waiting for the nation because really it is a burden that really we must dispense with, like we have said, and that's why for us we will still need to punguza mzigo. This BBI ni mzigo tuwezi kubeba, lazima tupunguze. Tuiondoe kabisa.
Na kuna watu walikuwa wanaambia punguza mzigo wanasema wanakimbia
www.punguzamizigo.org.
Okay. www.punguzamizigo.
Watu wana sign.
Haya. Sawa, watu ambao wanataka kupunguza mizigo.
Remember again, there will be an appeal from the Court of Appeals decision. Of course, this matter will end up in the Supreme Court. Okay. More reason why it should be dispensed with more urgently. Because again, depending on the outcome at the Supreme Court, there might need to be time for a referendum. And, elections are next year, 2022. We're already there. So we need to know, are we having a referendum before or are we going straight to elections?
This case is also giving the judiciary an opportunity to teach Uhuru a lesson. Yeah? On a very serious note.
Revisiting the visitor.
I think even the judicial should revisit actions of the president. Since last year, the Judicial Service Commission appointed 41 judges. One has since died. Yeah?
Alikufa stress ama
sijui kama ni stress ama nini, lakini we can partly say that President Uhuru frustrated that man mpaka kafariki, that judge. You see, I think the judiciary should also now teach the president, you must respect the judiciary. And if our those Court of Appeal judges, and I don't want to speculate because remember, I'm also before them. Yes. I think they should tell the president, judiciary is independent. You've shown this judiciary madharau over the last, actually since 2013. You've shown this judiciary madharau. It's time for us now to stamp our authority. And they should stamp their authority and disband this BBI. And for me, I will persuade President Uhuru. The only visible project I see of him is the expressway. Okay. Harakisha tu ya expressway. Aifungue kabla the next election.
Why the expressway?
Because it's the only visible thing I can see that this government has actually done. I mean, there's nothing this government has fulfilled since it kuja into government. Ilidanganya watoto wetu from standard 1 student watapatiwa laptop, hakuna. Ikadanganya the youth of this country 3 million jobs every year, hakuna. Tukadanganya sijui mambo ya sijui THRC, sijui nini, all those things. So there is no project that this government is capable of completing. So I only pray for Uhuru because at least we'll be using this barabara. Harakisha tu hiyo expressway. Tuone tu Nairobi imeng'ara. Tukue tukumbuka the way tukidrive Thika super highway, tunakumbuka Kibaki. Tukisikia mambo ya CDF, tunakumbuka Kibaki. Uchumi, tunakumbuka Kibaki. Sasa huyu
tukiona expressway,
express atitukumbuke Uhuru.
Lakini pia ukilepa hiyo 600 utakumbuka na utamu ama na uchungu.
You know, I was told that people are from Western are now a bit confused because they knew once they saw the Kangemi flyover, they knew they have entered Nairobi. Now it's no longer.
Now they remove the flyover, so you can never know when you're entering Nairobi.
But the man is
Go on.
The man, of course, from his actions, you can tell the man is worried about his legacy. That is why he's all over the place commissioning projects, starting new ones. That is why there is an urgency to finish the expressway. There are so many roads that are yet to be completed. And he wants them completed so that they can form part of his legacy. And I would advise him that he concentrates on his legacy. Complete the projects that he initiated. There are so many contractors out there who've been paid, yet they haven't even started the job. Push them. If these people are to be pushed, I can tell you in 1 year, this country can turn into first world. There are so many people with money in the pocket who've never started their projects. They have already eaten the money and gone home. So he should work. He should forget about succession.
Is the legacy something you chase, by the way? Is it a place you run to? Or it's something you become? It's a process.
First of all, I think they must complete haraka. Inasumbua wa Kenya sana. Saizi ukija
unalia jam. Sema tu unataka jam yet.
Watch iende because at least me I would even advise if I were to advise the president today, I will tell him, boss, wachana na hii mambo ya BBI. BBI will really be a very bad legacy for him. First of all, it will damage this country unbelievably. You know, the debt is putting us into, the disunity it will bring into this country is very bad. And I think for me, even at the end of the day, Uhuru Kenyatta will be endangering his own community. Because if you look at, for example, the 70 constituents they want to create through this BBI, a lot of it it favors his region where he comes from. Okay. That is really planting a very bad seed in this country. For me, I will tell him, akitaka legacy mzuri, akuje tufanya naye kazi kwa punguza mizigo, tupunguzie wa Kenya mizigo, tuende kwa World Development Fund, ndio to equalize Kenyans in equal measure. In fact, punguza mizigo is probably the best deal for this country because, you know, if we use the 1450 words as we are proposing, as the symbols of accelerating development, Central Kenya, which this BBI will favor in terms of constituency, still has the majority of wards. And if you are going to channel resources through the wards, they will still benefit. And that is the quickest way, Bitok, to equalize this country. So if you are from, say, I don't know, Lunga, uko suji Todonyang, suji Lamu, and in your ward, you can actually tick the box in terms of services, health, medical, school, security, all those things. It is the surest way of actually equalizing Kenyans and surest way of achieving inclusivity. Inclusivity cannot be achieved at ukipanua the executive at you now you include suji Mudavadi, suji Kalonzo, suji EKURU AUKOT. Waturukana watakula mshahara yangu. Mimi nitakula tu mshahara yangu na
now that's how you fixed the issue.
You fix the issue. That's a lie.
All right.
It will be a very bad legacy. So I really wish, I think you should send Uhuru an invitation to come and talk to Taklas here.
We need to bring him.
Yeah,
but kama atakuja tutaenda kumtafuta.
Yeah, tunaenda kumtafuta huko.
Tuambie tutampeleka maswali chungu mzima.
Lakini mbona umechelewa kumleta Ruto hapa? Na
Taklas anakuja, alikuwa anamaliza sherehe. Sasa amemaliza, amepeana msichana jana. Kwa hivyo hopefully next week he should be in. Kuja tumtackle tumuulize vipi Kenya inaelekea wapi kwa sababu niliona jana.
I have a complaint from hustlers, they were expecting probably they would be given a hand in that of the lady, of course.
Was expected. Wewe ulijaribia ama ulikuwa unangangana na mbuzi? Did you try ama ulikuwa unangangana na mbuzi?
Na mbona sikuwa na hustlers kwa hiyo sherehe? Nilikuwa natarajia nitaona msichana akipelekwa na wheelbarrow.
Lakini nasikia kijana ni hustler. So it's a win for hustlers. Nasikia kijana ni hustler. So I think it's a win for hustlers. But now the one is the hustlers of Nigeria. So you have no get a local hustler. So I don't know what you guys also make. I think we have the code of appeal as a new president.
We are actually reminding us that by the expressway was approved by the Kibaki regime at a cost of 23 billion.
It's now 64 billion.
63. But now when Uhuru launched it, mechapa mpaka 63 billion.
Yeah.
And remember what Nani told us, Baraka Muluka, that a family whose name he cannot
Baraka Muluka needs to come again
at 60 years, itakuwa na collect toll for 60 years in that expressway.
And they're the ones supervising.
The construction.
Mungu atatuweka. Anyway, there's I think also the Court of Appeal has a new president.
Yes.
Musinga. I don't know what do you think awaits this guy?
Justin Msinga is somebody I know. In fact, we actually lived in the same compound sometimes back as neighbors. He's a good, straightforward judge. Comes from a very strong legal practice background. I've got every confidence in him. He will lead the Court of Appeal properly.
Okay.
He's a serious judge.
I share the same sentiments. You know, Kenyans have been worried about the appeal from the BBI judgment. Most of the opinion that the Court of Appeal might not be as independent as the High Court, but I think the election of Musinga this week assuaged those fears. I think Kenyans can have confidence, every confidence in that court. Let's hope going forward that it sticks to its mandate and it's independent.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sawa, acha diangalie magazeti hapa pia. Before we go to magazeti, naona YouTube majamaa wanasema John Jangi and some good morning good people. My favorite day of the week, we get to know the law and the abuse of law. Sante Patrick, good morning to you, Patrick. Ozio, Dr. Kotsa. Okay, I think that was one. We started off, the mic was a bit low. And John Jangi, Wakili Magal, thank you for pointing out case and saying me are also suspicious of appointment. Korir Matthew, my cousin's sister was killed in that Garissa crime. As it pains you guys, it pains us most. But as you say, our government don't care about our people. Right? That is the voice of Kenyans. You know, sauti ya mwananchi. Okay, let's Facebook and someone also JB good morning. We talked to Nina Dono Masante Abbas Njuguna. A certain MP's prayer was just for a show. Brian Kipkwet, good morning. Just us tuned in. Thanks Amon Birgen for the shout out. So the son of Brian Kipkwet, my brother, thank you. Karibu sana to diaspora. Abita MB Mr. Bitoka. Okay, nimeona ilikuwa mambo ya William Lacoste. Good morning. Bitogo Mwitu Evans Gishai na kuona Yusuf Lelei. Asante Rezi Maritimu Mheshimiwa Utawala na kuona Johnson Kipkering Sang Andrew Bocha. Okay, huyo Andrew Bocha I think mwingine Ndungu Wanaina asema the country challenge remains state capture. State is repurposed for personal interest. Consequently, leadership is deeply in conflict of interest with public good. Hiding a state of public office is an opportunity to advance personal, economic, financial, some other interest. Okay, Abbas, you're gonna wait 3 years and this term is coming to an end. In the 13 months, the next president would deconstruct this lineup. Okay, that was on the appointment. Naona nani mwingine pia. Okay, Clifton, good morning. Watching from the CBDC. Hello to Philip Magal. Great is at Damascus moment. Always refreshing listening to you guys. Asante sana. Semio Walumba, so from Bungoma County. When the president announced the appointment, nobody questioned. Why have they moved to court to stop the effectiveness of the appointments? Hi, Roger Kituru, watu wakaribie. Okay, asante sana. Evans Arab Serone, good morning. GB from Nakuru. Kid Committee, good morning from Limuru. Asante sana. Elizabeth Karanja, good morning from Kilifi. Asante. Give Kikonyo, good morning. Henry Colum, the Kenya Meat Commission is a parastatal should go out for benchmarking where meat is for export. Slaughterhouse should be opened for foreign investors. I worked in pig slaughterhouse which hires 3,000 employees. Okay. Mwangi Simeon Gasman in Deya, Boroti, asante sana tu Deya. Ernest Sheria, I wonder why our lawyers are all over in media talking about not doing their job practically. For one, Nairobi has no governor. 2, there is an constitutional NMS running Nairobi County. The president continues to disobey court orders. So should we all stay and watch this? So from Ernest Sheria kutoka Karen. Collins Kimayo Langa Sama 035 tuned in. Asante sana. Naona nani pia. Evans Kidai Magai 70 not 90 constituencies. Cleveland Antonio, the country has gone to the dogs. The dogs have denied that the country has not gone to them. Daniel Mukunga sama a pure theft from the country's kitty. Abbas Juguna, we would be told CCTV cameras were under maintenance during that period. Murkomen summarized about the paid newspaper headlines to try and justify these extrajudicial killings. Teddy Odanga na kuona Lucy Simayo falling asante Abbas Juguna, where is the real air power? Abbas Njuguna, at 1,000 animals can be stolen and disappear, never to be seen. Really? Seriously? Imechinjwa sangapi? Yusuf Juma, a very true EKURU has the qualities of leading and taking this failed republic to greater heights. I support Punguza Mzigo. I sufficiently support his deeds. He is well schooled and is not corrupt. He's just like one of us. We must as Kenyans start evaluating the guys who elect see us through our tribulations. We must run away from tribal balkanization, dehumanization, and it leads to just 1-2 tribal men looting, and while the tribe is in for it, we must make the right choices irrespective of tribal kingmanship. It's backwardness. Okay, asante sana. Roger Kidura, I want to report the robbery the other day. The cops could not even visit the site of the accident and got an OB and that was it. Okay, Felix Kiprono Chebet, your expressway utakuwa ukilipia. Mosmbogo expressway was approved by Kibaki regime at a cost of that 20 billion when we launched it at the cost of 63 billion. May God help us. James Mwanda, at this rate, the only legacy Uhuru might leave labda Subaru.
Why Subaru?
Subaru legacy. Careers journal for the express the budget to education services is now 15 billion. I mean,
Can you imagine?
it's an interesting nation that we live in.
So if you look at, for example, just the figures relating to this expressway, and let's compare it to problems with the collective bargaining agreements that this government has failed to fulfill with our teachers, with our nurses, with our doctors, even public servants, by the you know. And you can imagine, let's just pick the doctors and nurses because of the timeliness of this pandemic. The doctors and nurses are probably asking for just under 10 billion for the two collective bargaining agreements. I think doctors about 5 billion, and it's not for their salaries only. Just that they want to make sure that, for example, a lab I'm working in a hospital or in a hospital has got enough oxygen, enough beddings, enough facilities for me to be able to treat the 50 million Kenyans. Nurses, the same thing. Imagine if today we just said, you know what, we ask the question, first of all, is an expressway a priority in the light of many other problems the country has? Actually, it's not. It's not for me. Just like the same way that they conned us billions of money through this debt from China on SGR. Do you know the Muzungu, in colonizing us, had actually left a proper infrastructure on rail in this country?
Without charging us.
Without charging us. Without taking a debt. Without us paying any debt. And all we needed to do, for example, in our desire for an SGR, is to expand the width of the meter gauge railway.
Yeah.
Because the difference between SGR and the MTR
The size of the rail.
is the size of the rail. You know? So all you needed to do is just expand it. And saizi, mimi naweza kuleta ng'ombe yangu kutoka huko Laikipia, niweke kwa hiyo rail kutoka pale na Nyuki mpaka Nairobi kama nataka kuuza. Solai, wapi kina Rongai huko, all the way to Kisumu, you know, and you just expand at very low cost.
Okay.
But tunabeba hiyo mzigo ya deni. Sasa tunasikia China ni kama inataka kutumia Port of Mombasa as a collateral. You know,
you saw what happened in
Zambia.
Not Zambia. Not Sierra Leone. What's the name of this? Where they've taken over the port.
Is it Chad?
Not Chad. Where they've taken over the port. Where they've taken over.
But I know in Zambia hata wako na policemen.
Yeah,
Chinese wako na
policemen,
kuna hata police Chinese
In fact,
policemen
there was
in
another
Zambia.
Zambian who was now pushing a Chinese on a cut. There's some serious outfront. So
It is our
I'm trying
appetite
to
for
find
cheap loan without regulations. Yeah.
Let me find
The Chinese don't bring the same conditions as the Bretton Woods institutions. Not that the IMF and World Bank are any better, but our appetite for loan is a big problem. We should be able to live within our means as a society and do with the little that we have. If anything, a lot of money that we are borrowing is being lost. Some is lost through mismanagement. A lot is lost through theft. Tax collection. The people who really ought to be paying tax are not paying tax. It is the small man, the mamambogas out there who have to cough up the little that is collected in terms of tax. And even then, whatever is collected is lost. If you look at this year's budget, they're talking of 3 billion. Half of that money is borrowed. The other half is going to servicing debt. So where are we as a country? You know, we are living a lie, a big lie. We cannot be paying so much in servicing debt when we would rather really be using that money more productively. As a country, we need to reassess. At this rate, the borrowing is unsustainable. Like you are saying, it is just a matter of time before the Chinese come to collect. And what will they use? They'll be taking the collateral that we've used. And the government has refused to share with the public the terms of borrowing. We don't know on what terms they have been borrowing. Okay. Another mistake they have been making is that they have been borrowing on commercial rates, which are exorbitant. So it is the common man who, at the end of the day, suffers.
And you know, sometimes people give this stupid example that there is no country in the world that doesn't have a debt. It is true. I mean, like, for example, Japan probably has the highest national debt. But remember, Japan borrows in yen. We borrow in dollars or in euros. And America borrows in dollars from its own. So the unfortunate thing, and like Wakili has actually hinted, there ought to be an accountability. Members of parliament should be able to debate this debt in the National Assembly. Debate the pros and cons of this debt to the economy of this country, to service provision in this country, but nobody's discussing that. The executive is keeping it a secret. How do we even know they are borrowing this money and this money probably goes to their personal accounts? We don't know.
Yeah.
You know, we should expect, for example, the Minister for Finance to announce and say that, yes, we have received a grant.
And these are the terms.
These are the terms. We have received this amount of money, and this is how we are going to apply it.
Okay.
We don't know.
All right. Sawa.
Tuko tuna wajumbe wamezembea tukazia watu nikula na kutudanganya ati wanatuombea.
Inchi actually ni Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, the port of Sri Lanka has been taken over and it's now an administrative. I've sent you the passport, EKURU. They already have a passport for Sri Lanka's port. It's called Colombo Port City. Special Administration Region for the People's Republic of China.
You're kidding.
Passport. Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing is that the new uniform that our police are using is very similar to another African country. And there is rumors that it's all coming from China, and that we did change the uniform on advice from them. So you wonder what really is transpiring at the background.
This is actually takeover of our country. Even if you're using, for example, the port of Sri Lanka as a collateral, then why would you have this passport saying Special Administrative Region, People's Republic of China? It's actually taking away. It's annexation.
It's colonialism.
It's
New
annexation.
colonialism.
It's like Russia took over Crimea from
Ukraine.
Itakuwa Mombasa Administrative Port of Peoples of China. Anyway.
And by the way, the other thing that's very annoying about these China loans, you're coming to an English-speaking country. Then you're even changing the signage into your own language. Why? And you're just a handful of people. This port is not for you. Why are you changing our signage into a language that even our own constitution, our own law does not recognize? The recognizable languages, official languages in this country is English and Kiswahili.
Okay.
China is a strange foreign language. Why should it be used as signage?
They say a beggar does not choose. Anyway, tuangalie magazeti. You know, beggars.
Waliomba China waende wakaombe huko.
Naona Timothy Grace Port of Sri Lanka. Asante Felix Kipto, Sri Lanka, thank you. Kiamba Gibbs, good morning from Nanyuki Bitoka. Asante sana, tukutane Nanyuki weekend, natembea huko polepole, tupatane huko tuone ng'ombe na EKURU zilienda wapi. Haya magazeti, The Standard, Catholics want referendum after 2022 polls. Hiyo ni kanisa ya rais. June Ruto's colorful wedding, why I risk Uhuru to catch Uhuru's eye, the guy who crossed over Uhuru's motorcade. It's another bombshell for Uhuru. Illegal appointments. AUKOT sends home 128 operational chiefs that are finding the recruitment flow, dealing the president a major blow. Wow, it looks like it's not this season. Farmers ditch coffee for tea, coffee tea for fruit farming. Watu wameenda mambo ya matunda. Mortgages decline as borrowers lose homes. The economy is as bad as it is. Okay, it's not a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. Anyway, naona pia naona that is Stars Obiri Cheriot I strong door returns. Uhuru is retiring as president but corrupt retire as a politician at his age, such he will not risk a futile endorsement. Wow, okay.
An interesting thing there, that is the Catholics submissions that the referendum should be held after election. I think I buy that because number one, we have very limited time left. Number two, like I was saying earlier on, the president should focus on his legacy. And one of them is not controlling the succession politics.
Okay.
BBI is purely about succession. And that is where it's going wrong. This is something that is out of his control. He should, he should use the High Court ruling as an excuse to abandon this. It is a dead horse that is flogging.
Right.
He should use it as a good excuse. Remain quiet for some month. Go quiet about it totally. Forget about it.
Okay.
Like I said, let's implement the current constitution as it is.
Higher. The nation expand bench in BBI suite activists say the bitter truth. This is the Kenya you have created. Each of our ops have been followed by great disappointment. Seasons of plenty have been followed by seasons of scarcity that seem longer than the earlier season. Expectations have been matched by delivery. Speaker points out grim picture of the countries in his power breakfast address. Okay, what they said, President Kenyatta, the prayers here today are geared towards towards bringing our hope back, and this is where we need to be as the worst pandemic in the world continues to ravage. We need to come together to overcome the challenges of the pandemic. Deputy President William Ruto, so much happened, and as things stand today, the Tangatanga tours are not there, and the reggae has also stopped. Maybe God is speaking to us by saying, "Come, let us reason together." Mr. Peter Wayaki, guest speaker, the corruption scandals we thought were gone in 2002, 2010, and 2013 are back with a vengeance. One feels they really never went away. Kenyans now have a sense of despair as they come to terms with both low-level and high-level corruption. I think Peter was really a courageous speaker. Peter, the speaker of the day, the guest speaker of the day, I think he was really firm in his statements. Saying the things that he said in front of the president. I mean, he's speaking the minds of Kenyans.
To me, this is mere platitude. He was asked by the president to come speak. I'm sure probably they agreed on what he needs to say. He said what is out there in the public domain. It's nothing new. So, just something for the Kenyans' ears. But will action follow? Will the president tackle corruption? We can see what is happening with the prosecution of Henry Henry Rotich. Prosecutions by the ESCC and the DCI are being brought, they are being politicized. One arm of government is being prosecuted, the other one is going scot-free. We could see what happened at KEMSA the other day. We are told people are being passed, who are passing by were being called in and being given tenders worth billions. COVID, the president then goes ahead and speaks about COVID. There are people out there who've only received one vaccine. They don't know whether they'll receive a second dose. The country doesn't care, yet he's attributing the downturn in the economy to COVID. Yet he doesn't care what happens. He's not concerned whether the country is vaccinated or not. So to me, those are mere platitudes. People give instructions to say the right things at the right time, but no action will follow.
Okay. It's mere rhetoric. It's political rhetoric as we know it. For me, I'll just ask Kenyans not to be blinded by those nice words or rosy words that were uttered by the president, by I don't know who is who. And this is why also I differ with the people who say let's implement the constitution as it is. And maybe Magalia can explain further. Who do you think will really implement this constitution if you and I are not in government, who believe in the rule of law? Because you see, Magal, look at the choreography towards 2022. Look at the people who are championing BBI, now coming together as one alliance. Others are already in this government at very high level. They are probably touted to be the people to beat in 2022. And these are the people who for almost 10 years have refused to implement this constitution. They actually want to mutilate it. So when you people say, let's implement this constitution, then we should be asking a corresponding question. Who is to implement this constitution? Because I don't see the bunch of individuals who are now choreographing. And I'm not giving up on us taking over this government or changing this government. But we should be wary of the fact that we are asking the same people who may form the next government. Because for them, each one of them individually cannot form the next government. They know that. That's why they are coming together. And maybe for me, the question now to Kenyans is, I think we need to amend this. I'm a proponent of Punguza Mizigo because the intention is to actually reduce the burden of governance on Kenyans. We do not need some of the bodies we see in this country. We do not need a large number of. We don't need an expanded parliament. Kenyans never wanted 70 additional members of parliament. We are expanding parliament to create jobs for individuals. The same set of individuals who cannot even question this government from a representative value that, you have borrowed XY amount of money. Can you account for it? You are spending money on this BBI. Where is this money coming from? So why are we increasing bunge? And why do we want to be blind and accept that Ruto now, if Ruto is going to be the next president of the Republic of Kenya, he will implement this constitution. We have not seen him dissent from BBI. We know that he doesn't support BBI, but he cannot also come out openly and say, I don't like BBI. Because what? He is tied. He's joined at the hip with all these fellows, So people who want to expand the executive, like Raila, want to create a prime minister. We gave him power during the coalition government. In fact, on a 50-50, there was even a law that said actually you share power on a 50-50, you actually supervise and coordinate all ministries and departments of government. What did we see from that?
Nada.
Asara too.
Zero. Haya. Gazeti ya Taifa Leo, I think I live for the headlines of Taifa Leo. Waombaji wasiotenda. Viongozi wa kisiasa walaumiwa kwa kutenda kinyume na matamshi wanayotoa kwenye afla za umma. Tuache unafiki, matumaini pekee yake hayataweza kutusaidia. Tunahitaji vitendo, kwa hivyo tukitoka hapa twende kuchukua hatua. Koti ya charaza Uhuru Kiboko mara nyingine ikisema alipuuza katiba. Ni mambo ya Uhuru. Business Daily, Nginyo Kariuki's daughter son in shillings 4 billion estate draw. Okay, auctions cut loan defaults to 9.2 billion in April. Okay, watu wanauziwa mavitu auctions. CBK and Spire Bank emergency cash lifeline. I think this is the biggest common issue of the century. The Spire Bank and how those teachers really bought this thing is to amaze me.
You know, the con men are known, and this is not the first con game. That is how they have made their money. We know of Kikomi, we know of ICDC, we know of Uchumi, many other companies that are. We know of the insider trading at NSC. You know, Kenyan would rather invest in a plot than in stock and commodities.
Itazama.
Yes, itazama. But we know these people.
But me, I wonder.
What happened? What has ever? Nothing has become of them, has it?
But let me ask you another very critical question that Kenya must ask in the context of this Spire Bank. What happened to the regulator? You know, we must question the role of the regulator here. You know, either CMA or even the central bank. How could they allow Naushad Merali to withdraw such billions of Kenya shillings when kawaida Mkenya who is even doing mijengo is restricted that he cannot withdraw more than 1 million Kenya shillings? You have to do what we call RTGS. You know, this is collapsing an economy. Here we should call out the role of the regulator, central bank in this particular case, and even CMA. Why will they allow this tycoon to collapse this bank? And now to put the burden on us Kenyans, because it's now us rescuing this bank, which is a private entity, by the way. It's not a public entity. Why are we saving this private bank with our taxes?
Basically, what he did is that he put stock in a shop to show that the shop is doing well.
Yeah.
Then once he sold it, akaenda na stock yake. He put the money into the bank to show that it had a good deposit reserves. Then once it sold it, basically a pure con game, you know, one of those, it was a perfect Ponzi scheme of a massive scale.
All right. Haya, sawa. Na ya mwisho, our good neighbors in Kileleshwa wametoa signage ya Francis Atuoli a few hours after it was installed. Wakaingoa, wakaitupilia mbali. Hivyo ndio hasira wa Kenya imefika.
I don't take Atuoli seriously. I don't even know why people discuss that man. First of all, he's become a fixture in the labor organization. He does not allow, for example, the registration of unions. He's frustrating them because he's basically colonizing and patronizing. I mean, you wonder this organization, this labor organization, kwani hakuna secretary general mwingine? Lazima tu ni Atuoli.
I think it's a permanent monument in court. Okay, even if he dies now, we'll also couch him like Kenyatta and put him in court. Still keep running.
Yeah, but the signage, the naming of a road.
That's Atuoli Road.
Tells you
who commissioned it.
Yes. Na Kananu and Atuoli.
Kananu is the governor of what has become of our politics. It's about self-aggrandizement. I'm sure even Uhuru right now is talking, you know, let me not say I'm sure, but he wouldn't mind having a road named after him.
Uhuru Kenyatta Road.
Yes.
Even no, we'll also put in
Lavington. If you remember, the other day I was just thinking, when Kibaki got into office, he made a promise that he wouldn't have his face on the currency. And before long, he had it on those 40 shilling coins. The worst coin you can have, because you'd always use it as a 20 shilling coin without knowing.
You'll find you mistaken yourself.
Now his image there.
No, Kibaki had his image on the 40 bob.
And you know that's against the constitution, eh?
It was then before they.
But even that time,
the current constitution.
But he was not operating under the current constitution, Kibaki.
No, but you see, we should not be printing our currencies.
They are not printing anymore. They are not doing the 40 shillings anymore.
No, even with images of anybody, it's not allowed.
No, we don't have any images now. Do we have?
No, right now we don't. But then Kibaki couldn't resist the temptation.
Yeah. After promising us not to have his
image. After promising us that he would do away with
him. No, he could not do away with that.
There's a road that was recently renamed after Margaret Wambui Kenyatta Road, somewhere in Lavington. It used to be called Mugumo Road. And on that road, many people are built. It's restricted development, just villas, and it used to. You could see Mugumo Village, Mugumo Terraces, Mugumo these Tiara Villas, whatever. So the road itself actually reflects the ownership of the property.
Okay.
But when I think Uhuru's sister died, because she lives around, on the same road, then the road.
But I thought Uhuru's sister lives on Convent anyway.
No, she lives somewhere there. She on that Mugumo road.
So you've named after.
It has now been renamed. Margaret
Don't worry, we'll name it after you sometime.
Very
soon.
It starts
Very soon.
It starts from the junction of James Gishuru at Lavington Mall all the way down.
I know someone who does very good signage. We'll name it after you this weekend at night. Anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure having you. Anita Jesira anasema Dr. EKURU salamu kwa wingi. George Bahia falling from Sydney. Thank you so much, guys, from diaspora. George Bahia, Sri Lanka ndio Chinese wamechukua porti. Asante. James Wanda, Dr. EKURU just point out the CS Treasury, the bus before Parliament, a record of all debts in the year. MPs usually get the chance to debate our debts, but they choose to come out here and politic. That's the MPs we have. Daniel Makor says morning. We talk following from Eldama Ravine. Thank you, Karis John, for the expressway. The budget was, I think I read that earlier. And YouTube, as we finalize Barjajo Investments LLC, we cannot have our leaders, especially the president and deputy president, be apart. They should work in liaison. Our opposition leader is the one acting as our deputy president now, without a doubt. Okay, as a 16-year-old, I have seen impressions of the political environment, and we don't find a solution now. Trust you me, there'll be a mess. That is a 16-year-old speaking. That's a 16-year-old speaking.
His value system is still uncorrupted.
Yeah. And I'm so excited. I mean, when you hear 16-year-olds really commenting on matters public, this is commendable. And I really wish that we could have as many young people as possible participate in a public affairs of our country. I mean, I really pray that they don't by the time they leave, say, to my age, they should not be thinking about, when I was in primary, I was told you are tomorrow's leader. In high school, you are tomorrow's leader. At university, you are tomorrow's leader. Your employment, you are tomorrow's leader. Kwani
tomorrow inakwanga wapi?
Inakuja lini?
Tomorrow
never comes.
If tomorrow never comes. Anyway, guys, it's been a great having you on. To wish you guys a very great weekend. It's been Sheria Wiki on 28th of May 2021. Tarehe imekuwa 28 mwezi wa 5 mwaka 2021. Holiday on Tuesday. Kwa hivyo nataka kuwatakia madaraka njema. Is it yet madaraka?
It is actually on Monday.
On Tuesday.
1st of June.
Is it yet madaraka?
For me, I would say that these public holidays, especially madaraka, nini, they are just nostalgic. They are nostalgic. They remind us that once upon a time, actually, we achieved internal self-rule.
And we lost it along the way.
Somewhere along the way, ilipotea pia internal self-rule. Because bado tuko kwa kichaka na pia tumerudi kwa kichaka.
Niliona Raila alikuwa anasoma kitabu Not Yet Uhuru na amekaa na Uhuru. Anyway, guys, it's a pleasure having you, gentlemen. Asante sana Magal for coming in. Hope to see you again. Daktari EKURU, as usual, tunashukuru sana kukuona. I wish you guys a very great weekend. The guys who have been on YouTube. And that 16-year-old, I think we can only pray for you.
Can we try and reach out to him, and maybe you need to invite that 16-year-old here to come and speak to his...
Please send me a message. The person who has left a message on YouTube, as a 16-year-old, I have seen impressions of the political environment, and if we don't find a solution now, trust you me, there will be a mess. Please send me a message. Send me a message on my Facebook page. Please nitumie ujumbe kwenye Facebook page yangu. Mwacha nikuetukue tu nambari yangu hapa haraka.
Na kama ana copy ya katiba, mimi niko tayari kumnunulia copy ya katiba.
Haya, Daktari EKURU AUKOT amekupa nafasi, anasema anakupa katiba fresh, katiba mpya uweze kusoma. Tafadhali kama ni wewe umeacha hiyo ujumbe, tafadhali send me a message. I've put my number there. Tafadhali nitumie ujumbe alafu tutazungumza na wewe. You want to ensure that at least we try and secure the next country. David Kenyatta, very good morning, guys. Mkote daktari. Asante sana. Thank you guys for coming in. We really appreciate you. Hope you guys are going to have a very, very, very great weekend. Lakini kama tujafunga aje tukimbie pale masokoni tulipe madeni alafu tuende tukifunga. Tuanza na watu wa Maridadi Motors. Maridadi Motors gives you an opportunity to import, direct import, and you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings when you import with Maridadi Motors. People ask, where is Maridadi Motors? Maridadi Motors iko Kiambu Road, opposite Total Rich Ways. Utaona kinyumba kikubwa kimeandikwa Maridadi Motors. Trust the process. They want to give an opportunity to import a vehicle, direct imports, and you get to save up to 300,000 when you import in Maridadi Motors. You never get any such a deal anywhere else. Also, Maridadi Motors gives an opportunity to do business. If you have money that's lying somewhere, you can invest in Maridadi Motors. That is import to sell module, where you get to import a car. They get to import a car for you under your name. They get to sell it, and you get one up to 15% income or 15% interest on your investment that you put in. Maridadi Motors also gives you an opportunity to save. Kama uko na pesa, income. Najua we need to return the saving culture. Tafadhali weka pesa kwenye Maridadi Motors na ikifika mahali ambapo utahitaji gari, you can get the car at 50% savings, alafu ile nyingine unalipa polepole ukisonga na rada. Sparkling Motor Spa also behind Sierra Mall gives you, unakupa nafasi ya kuweza kungarisha gari yako safi kabisa. Every Thursday unanipata pale, nikipatana ukiosha gari unakula kitchen. Pata hapo nakula kitchen ya Maridadi Motors. Alafu pia kuna majamangu wa Swift Airtime. Swift Airtime gives you an opportunity to load airtime. Hata kama una pesa kwa M-Pesa unaweza tumia Fuliza. Enda pale kwa baby, weka business number 325325. Account number your number. Account number is your number. Kama ni kama yangu ya studio enda 07798010. Enda baby business number 325325. Alafu account number ni nambari yako ya simu. Alafu ya mwisho watu wa zigo, watu wa kubeba mzigo pale hivyo deliver within Nairobi. Tafadhali kuna riders ambao wana deliver haraka upesi. Zigo, you ask we deliver. Nambari yao iko pale, unaweza pigia simu uweze kufanya delivery, doorstep delivery kwa bei nafuu zaidi. Alafu majamaa wangu wa kuningarisha wa D-Square in Eldoret, Ketia building, ukikimbia pale ukiambiana umetumwa na Bito, kuna kula discount ya haraka upesi, tailored to fit. Inakatwa kabisa na wembe polepole, inashonwa mpaka inashika mwili safi kabisa. Pamba inakushika, inakungarisha kabisa. Usingoje kuwa marehemu anze kuvaa suti. Tafadhali nunueni suti. Hii suti nyingine tutakununulia mchango.
Tako inaingiza hela siku hizi bwana. Na
hata wewe leta advertisement ya
mwanzo leo ni Friday bwana. Inaitwa Friday.
Bwana. Unajua ni
kama advertisement inakuja, hela inakuja. Wacha kula.
Kwa talipa tutapiga sheria.
Maana kukula peke yako bwana. Hata unaweza kunyonga.
Inalipa tu kama mshahara ya hiyo.
Hata unaweza kunyonga na mate.
Siku yenye at least tutaona kama contract kubwa tutapiga sheria.
Tukitoka hapa tulainishie kwa.
Huyu daktari ndiye atatuoshea call leo. Nani wakili Magal lazima atuoshee call leo. Leo ni Friday. Unajua mimi ni nabii. Sasa unajua kuosha kwa pia inaweza kuwa maji ya uzima. Maji ya uzima pia inaosha kwa. Aya, unajua the first miracle that Jesus said, funny enough, interestingly. Jesus had the choice of doing any other miracle as his first miracle. Yeah. But he chose to turn water into wine. That is why we get the
kwanza hombi ilitoka kwa mama mwenyewe. Unajua mama yako mzazi akikwambia fanya kitu, hiyo kitu ni amana.
Anakuambia kijana wangu fanya kitu. Fanya kitu kijana. Kijana akasema hii maji iko divai. All right guys, enjoy your candies at chocolate. Now it's been a pleasure. We love you. Signing out. Bye bye.